Chapter 892. It seemed that the master who had set up this 7 deadly arrays formation was indeed scheming. In the past, although there were some tests at the 6th loop, they had never set up such a huge test like this. If one did not kowtow, they would be sent out and would never be able to return. This was such a decisive test. They would rather abandon the formation than let someone with evil intentions get the core of the formation. Bao Bao gave a long sigh. Boss, it seems that this formation was made for you. If it were me, I would not have done it so respectfully. Qin Wushuang could understand. Bao Bao was from the Beast Clan. His bloodline inheritance was completely different than human martial artists who respected their teachers. Since you have already inherited my legacy, you must know Shizun's name. I am Li Xianfeng, a martial artist of the 9 luminaries. If you want to know my age, I should be more than 1,000,000 years old. Haha, don't be surprised. In the vast universe, martial artists who are 1,000,000 years old are as numerous as the hairs on an ox. However, among martial artists who are 100 years old, there would not be more than 100 who could achieve my level. That's right, 100. I will never surpass this number. Li Xuanfeng's tone was full of pride. Of course, in the Tianxian land, it would be inconceivable to be 1,000,000 years old. However, in the entire universe, 1,000,000 years old was as ordinary as a speck of dust. Haha. Unfortunately, I was a bit hot-headed due to my success at a young age. In the end, all my efforts were in vain. My soul was lost in a foreign land. How sad. From Li Xuanfeng's tone, there was a trace of sadness. Thus, young man, if you are successful at a young age, you must not be too flamboyant. You must remember, regardless of how good your luck was in the past and how smooth your training has been, you must not let your guard down. Don't think that you are infallible and think that you will always be lucky. I can tell you clearly that once you hold such thoughts, perhaps one day you will meet with great misfortune. Qin Wushuang's heart trembled. Apparently, this was his teacher's experience. It seemed that he had encountered a tremendous blow that caused him to wander to the Tianxian land, and in the end, he did not survive. Even a powerful existence like Master could not survive. What kind of terrible blow did he suffer? My disciple, remember this. Since you've entered the 7th ring, it means that you've inherited my legacy. Now that you've inherited my legacy, you have to work for me. As the saying goes, when a master has something to do, the disciple has to take care of it. Although my soul has been severed from the Tianxian land, at least there is a strand of my divine soul that did not perish. It is sealed at the core of the 7th circle. If you can grasp the supreme heavenly Tao law in the future, you could defy life and death and seize fortune. You might be able to revive me. Of course, this is destined to be a long journey. There might be a glimmer of hope, but it might never happen. A glimmer of hope? Qin Wushuang's heart suddenly trembled, and he secretly vowed in his heart, no matter how much hope there is, as long as there is a chance, I, Qin Wushuang, will rush to the end for Master. Master used the 7 deadly arrays formation to transform me. Now that I have received his favor, how could I not repay him? Although he knew that perhaps his master could not hear him, he still said seriously, Master, I swear here that even if there is only a glimmer of hope, I will work hard and rush about for Master's destiny. I will never shrink back, even if I have to go through mountains of blades and seas of fire. My disciple, I don't know how long I will have to wait here. I also entered your plane by accident. I must say that your plane is incredibly weak. It might not be a bad thing for the Tianxian land to be invaded by the foreign tribes. Perhaps only the test of the foreign tribes will make the Tianxian land more powerful in the future. Only by fighting with ferocious opponents can the entire plane be improved greatly. I can tell you clearly that if a plane does not even have a master god, sooner or later you will become a slave in the hands of others. Your entire plane will become their territory. Therefore, to get the Tianxian land out of this predicament, there is only one way: to become a master god. A master god. Only those at the 7th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage could be called a master god. Bao Bao's face was full of confusion as he asked in a low voice, Boss, what is a master god? Qin Wushuang explained in a concise and comprehensive manner. Instantly, Bao Bao was dumbstruck. There were also 9 calamities at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The first and second calamities were initial stage heavenly gods. The third and fourth calamities were middle stage heavenly gods. The fifth and sixth calamities were advanced stage heavenly gods. Only those at the seventh calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage could be called Master God. Bao Bao felt his head swelling. Now that he had trained to the genuine Supreme Tao stage, he felt each step was incredibly difficult. If he did not have the bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey, most likely he would only be a martial artist at the Void Martial stage. The Heavenly Supreme Tao stage was simply unreachable. Clearly, the seventh calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage was a level he could not even see. Each calamity at the genuine Supreme Tao stage was already incredibly difficult to cross. When one reached the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, one could imagine how difficult it was. In a universe, there are many little universes, and each small universe was made up of tens of millions of star regions. Each galaxy also has countless planes like the Tian Xianland. You can imagine, to be the master of a plane, you need to possess the strength of a master god. For a galaxy, you need at least one heavenly honored warrior. The master of the little universe is at the level of the Holy Emperor. The master god was at the seventh calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The heavenly honored warrior was at the eighth calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The Holy Emperor was at the ninth calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Qin Wushuang had once heard Li Bai's simple introduction. Now, with the entire system before him, Qin Wushuang finally knew the difference. He was even more astonished at the monstrous difference between the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. It seemed that there was only a single calamity between the Master God and the Heavenly Honored Warrior. However, the difference in strength and status could not be described with words. A Master God could be the master of a plane. A Heavenly Honored Warrior was qualified to rule a galaxy. For a galaxy, the small ones had thousands or tens of thousands of ordinary planes. For the big ones, it would be normal to have a few dozen or a million. For such difference, Qin Wushuang kept shaking his head when he thought about it. The difference is too great, just too great. Qin Wushuang gave a light sigh. For the genuine Supreme Tao stage, although the difference between each calamity is obvious, it should not be to this extent. It seems that the difference between each calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage must be measured by the distance between the galaxies. It's too terrifying. Clearly, Bao Bao was even more dizzy than Qin Wushuang. This was the first time he came in contact with such knowledge. He was stupefied and could not refrain from asking, "Boss, for your teacher, just what calamity is he at? Is he a master god or a heavenly honored warrior?" Qin Wushuang shrugged his shoulders with a bitter smile. "I don't know either." Li Xuanfeng's voice paused for a moment. Then it sounded again. He gave a long sigh with an unprecedented sense of vicissitudes. "Too bad. I was blinded by a momentary obsession. Initially, with my qualifications, as long as I was willing to train, after a few million years, I would be qualified to rule a little universe. Unfortunately, in the end, I was unwilling to be left out and barged into the primal chaos Great Luo realm. I didn't expect that I would actually obtain a wisp of authentic primal chaos energy. This primal chaos vital chi is a wisp of primal chaos vital chi from the birth of the Great Luo universe. Back then, Supreme Grand Heavenly Realm Pan Huang, who had created this universe, had created this grand heavenly realm. It was born from this state of chaos. His wave of primal chaos vital chi transformed into 3 supreme Great Luo universe to rule the current Great Luo universe. In the Great Luo universe, whoever is qualified to acquire a wisp of primal chaos vital chi will have the hope to transform into the 4th supreme Great Luo and become the supreme ruler of the Great Luo universe. They will grasp the rules of the universe and be able to reverse the past and the future. Qin Wushuang was completely shocked. It seemed that the peak of the 9th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage was not the strongest warrior in the universe. Above the Holy Emperor of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, there was a Supreme Great Luo. The Supreme Great Luo was the true ruler of the universe. And in the Great Luo universe, there were only 3 such rulers. And in the entire Great Luo universe, there were countless small universes. The ruler of each small universe must be the Holy Emperor of the 9th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Until this moment, Qin Wushuang finally realized what it meant to be at the peak of the universe. What it meant to be at the peak of existence. At the peak of this powerhouse system, what were genuine supreme Tao martial artists? Most likely, they were not even considered ants, right? As for ordinary humans, they were so insignificant that it was indescribable. Qin Wushuang was surging with excitement. Supreme Great Luo. This supreme existence had deeply shocked his soul. The Tianxian land was only an insignificant ordinary plane in the Great Luo universe. In the entire Great Luo universe, it was like a speck of dust in the Tianxian land. But so what? In the entire Great Luo universe, the Tianxian land was indeed insignificant. However, to the people living in this plane, the Tianxian land meant their home. It meant everything. Whoever threatened their home and their existence. Naturally, they had every reason to defend it with their lives. Qin Wushuang swore inwardly that regardless, he must become a master god. Only by becoming a master god and forming a nominal control over the Tianxian land could he intimidate the foreign tribes and tell them that the Tianxian land had a master and no one should think about touching it. Qin Wushuang had no reason to be discouraged. On the contrary, he felt full of confidence. Hearing his teacher's tone, even if he was not the Holy Emperor of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, most likely he was not far from that level. It was even possible that his teacher was at the 9th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, but he had not become the master of the small universe. Or else, how could he have dared to charge into the chaotic Great Luo primordial realm? How could he have the ambition to become the 4th Supreme Great Luo? My disciple, you must be muttering to yourself about what stage I have reached, right? Ha ha! I can tell you clearly that when I was 1,000,000 years old, I entered the 9th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. I am the true Holy Emperor of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. However, even though we are all Holy Emperor of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, there is still a gap between our strength and power. When I obtained the chaotic Qi, before I had the time to merge it, I was chased by hundreds of Holy Emperor of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage who heard the news. Along the way, I fought until the sky turned dark, and in the end, it led to this tragedy. If I could have kept calm, if I could have waited a few million years, when my strength had reached a level where all the Holy Emperor of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage could not pose a threat to me, wouldn't it have been better to go to the chaotic Great Luo primordial realm? Ha ha! I was too impatient. Haste makes waste. Li Xianfeng was deeply moved, and clearly, he was somewhat regretful. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.qidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 893. A Ninth Tribulation Heavenly Supreme Path Expert. Even if the Great Luo universe was big, that was a peerless genius that might not appear in 10,000 years. What's more, Li Xianfeng was able to enter the Ninth Tribulation Heavenly Supreme Path when he was 1,000,000 years old. His aptitude was excellent, and he was obviously the top existence in the Great Luo universe. If he could keep his composure and endure for tens of millions of years, or even tens of millions of years old, then there was probably no place in the entire Great Luo universe that he couldn't go. Although there were many small universes in the Great Luo universe, there were also strong and weak ones among them. Among the Holy Emperor of Sky Martial Arts, there were also ranks. If one could enter the top 100 in the entire Great Luo universe, then he would be a popular figure in the entire Great Luo universe. Li Xianfeng originally had the hope to become such a person, but unfortunately, he couldn't keep his composure. He didn't have enough experience, so he started to act impulsively, and in the end, he attracted the immeasurable tribulation. The so-called immeasurable tribulation was a tribulation that surpassed the ninth tribulation of the heavenly supreme path. Haha, my little disciple, I've nagged and said so much. Actually, I just want to tell you, don't be impulsive. Don't be impulsive at any time. Especially when you've cultivated to that level, don't care about that little bit of time. You must be able to endure loneliness. Qin Wushuang secretly nodded and engraved it in his heart. Disciple, the cultivation of the heavenly supreme path and the true supreme path are two completely different things. You may be in the range of the true supreme path, measured by hundreds or even dozens of years. But when you reach the heavenly supreme path, you'll find that dozens or hundreds of years is simply a snap of the fingers. One closed-door training will take several dozens or hundreds of years. The cultivation of the heavenly supreme path is at least 1,000 years as a year. So, you must not put the cultivation mentality of those below the true supreme path into the cultivation of the heavenly supreme path. These were words from the bottom of his heart. Qin Wushuang actually understood in his heart, but after such a reminder, his impression was obviously deeper. With his master's reminder, he naturally wouldn't be careless and be impatient for success. Well, my disciple, you don't have to worry too much. Since you've inherited my mantle, of course, I won't let you suffer. I won't let you take so many detours. Therefore, I condense the essence of my life's cultivation into 5 rays of divine light and fuse them into your body at the beginning of the 7 deadly arrays formation. It is also because of this that your cultivation speed will be 10 times or even 100 times faster than ordinary people. Qin Wushuang was suddenly enlightened. The mystery was finally revealed. The 5-color divine light turned out to be the condensation of his master's lifetime essence. Naturally, it was no small matter. The lifetime essence of the Sky Martial Holy Emperor, even in the entire Great Luo universe, would be fought over. Not to mention in this tiny Tianxian land. Perhaps there wasn't even a single person who knew what was good for them. If there were tens of billions of heavenly venerates in the Great Luo cosmos, then the number of heavenly venerates that could become the Sky Martial Holy Emperor would definitely not exceed 1 million. This was the difference between them. As such, it was easy to imagine how attractive the cultivation essence of the Holy Emperor of the Sky Martial Realm was. You can say that I've already paved the way for you. As for how high you can climb in the future, it will depend on your own fortune. Of course, I still hope that the wisp of chaotic chi that I haven't fused with can ultimately bring you to an unprecedented height. Only when you reach that height can you truly go against life and death, turn the cycle of reincarnation, and seize fortune. In this universe, only the Supreme Great Luo can control all rules, including the rules of time and space. Do you understand? All of this was profound, but Qin Wushuang understood. The Supreme Great Luo was equivalent to the controller of the entire universe. They were the masters of all the rules of the universe. Naturally, they could also control the cycle of reincarnation. However, the Supreme Great Luo were the 3 Supreme Great Luo formed by Supreme Pan Huang when he created the world. Now, the Great Luo cosmos had been operating for hundreds of billions of years, yet no new Supreme Great Luo had appeared. One could imagine how difficult it was. In Qin Wushuang's opinion, this could only happen when the universe collapsed and the creation was reborn. However, since his master had instructed him, he had no reason to refute. Even if he refuted this kind of voice recording ability, it would be useless. In any case, in this 7 deadly arrays formation, he could only listen to whatever his master said. After he finished listening, he would just do as he was told. Disciple, when you are being hunted, your divine soul escaped to this material plane that is an unknown distance away from my homeland. Finally, you avoided the pursuit of so many opponents. Unfortunately, in this Tianxian continent, I couldn't find a body that could accommodate my injured divine soul. Most importantly, the spiritual power of this Tian-Xian continent is not enough for me to heal my injuries. Don't you think I'm wronged? However, this is not the Tian-Xian continent's fault. I barged in myself. When I saw the Tian-Xian continent and the foreign races fighting in full swing, I couldn't even protect myself. Of course, I couldn't come out to deal with the foreign races. Of course, I also don't like the place where my divine soul rests being disturbed by the foreign races. The foreign races have a repulsive appearance and hearts like snakes and scorpions. Such a race is not worthy of inheriting my legacy. Therefore, I set up this 7 deadly arrays formation to make some restrictions. Only the martial artists of the Tian-Xian continent are qualified to inherit my formation. In a hurry, I also took in 6 emissaries. They could be considered as my disciples. Unfortunately, they either don't have enough fortune or talent. None of them could inherit my legacy and bear the baptism of the 5 colored divine lights. Therefore, they could only run around for me as emissaries. Considering that they are martial artists of the Tian-Xian land, of course, I had to give them some hope when I took them in as my disciples. Finally, Qin Wushuang understood that this was how the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples came to be. No wonder Senior Brother Li Bai and the others respected their teacher so much. Indeed, they received their teacher's guidance. Naturally, such guidance was incomparable to any famous teacher in the Tian-Xian land. Indeed, it was turning stone into gold. It allowed them to become the top existences in the Tian-Xian land with their above-average talent. Although the gods of the Tian-Xian land are crude and have ordinary strength, their love for this plane and the sacrifices they made for this plane are pure. One cannot help but feel respect for them. Due to this respect, when they chose to use their divine soul to seal the soaring of Galaxia barrier, I also secretly used some methods to help them. Or else, do you think that with their divine soul, they could make the soaring of Galaxia barriers so firm? The foreign tribes had masters of the plane and elite warriors at the Master God level. The strongest warrior in the Tian-Xian land was only at the 5th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The difference between them and the Master God is incalculable. Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao were sweating profusely when they heard this. It seems that the Tian-Xian land was able to hold on until now because of this foreign guest's secret help. Qin Wushuang could not help but feel somewhat depressed. It seemed that the plane of the Tian-Xian land was rather weak. This plane, that was more or less similar to the mythological era on Earth, was this weak. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt somewhat ashamed. However, he thought that the great Luo Panhuang was the great god Pangu who created the world in his previous mythological era, transforming into 3 supreme great Luo at once. Wasn't it the mythological story of 1 Qi turning into 3 pure ones? It seems that the description of the mythological era on Earth was not without foundation. Of course, don't be discouraged. Humph humph, if you can inherit my legacy completely, not to mention a Master God, you can even kill a heavenly warrior with a flip of your hand. However, this is only a theoretical possibility. Whether you can train to that step and whether you have the time to train to that stage, I am deeply doubtful. According to my observation, under the attack of a Master God, this soaring of Galaxia barrier will not hold on for more than 100,000 years. From the age of the gods until now, it had been 60 or 70,000 years. According to Senior Brother Li Bai's words, at most the soaring of Galaxia barrier could hold on for another 10,000 years. In total, it would be 70 or 80,000 years. His teacher's eyes were truly sharp. Indeed, it could not hold on for more than 100,000 years. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang had a clear idea. In these 10,000 years, he must train to the Master God stage to ensure the safety of the Tian-Xian land. Or else, in the end, it would be extremely dangerous for the foreign tribes to invade. To train to the Master God stage in 10,000 years, without seizing the fortune of the heavens, most likely one would not find many such monstrous geniuses across the entire great Luo universe. After all, a Master God could not be created with monstrous talent. The birth of each master god was an incomparably difficult process. In the boundless great Luo universe, it would be an overestimation to say that one master god would emerge from a trillion martial artists. The actual probability would be even lower than this. However, Qin Wushuang had this fortune of seizing the heavens. Indeed, Li Xianfeng had paved the path for him. This fortune of seizing the heavens was something that others could not get with envy. It could even be said that it was something that could not be sought. After all, no elite warrior at the ninth calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage would be bored enough to burn their divine soul and condense the essence of their lifetime to make a wedding dress for others. Li Xianfeng was forced to do this because he had no other choice. My disciple, remember, don't show off your abilities. When you're not strong enough to fight against a master god, do not strike a stone with an egg, or else you will not have any chance to survive. For elite warriors above the master god, do not even try to offend them. Let me tell you bluntly, for an elite warrior at the level of the Tianwu Holy Emperor, even if he moves his finger, he can make your ordinary plane collapse completely. Before the Tianwu Holy Emperor, a master god would be like an ant that he can pinch at will. This was a warning to Qin Wushuang that before he had achieved great success, he should not try to fight against the foreign tribes head-on. My disciple, I once told you that this 7 deadly arrays formation contains the essence of all parts of the Tianxian land. Outside of this formation, it leads to the entire vast galaxy, the boundless great Luo universe. Therefore, I can tell you clearly that if you want to fight against the foreign tribes, you must leave the Tianxian land to train. Or else, under the soaring of Galaxia barrier, you will never become a master god. Before the foreign tribes invade, you'll not have any hope. You want to ask, how can you leave the Tianxian land when the soaring of Galaxia barrier is set up? Haha, indeed they have no way, but who am I? I have a way. The Tianwu Holy Emperor will always have a way to enter an ordinary plane. No matter how good the defense is, it will not be able to stop him. For this 7th loop, I have specially set up a transportation channel for you. It will lead to an advanced material plane. When you train there, your training speed will be 10 times faster than at the Tianxian land. It was another paved road. Qin Wushuang's feelings emerged spontaneously. Indeed, his teacher had arranged everything appropriately and had considered the fate of the Tianxian land thoroughly. When he thought here, Qin Wushuang became even more excited. Now he wished he could immediately train to the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage and soar to the Galaxia. He could not wait to see the existence outside of this plane. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.qijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 894. To the Tianxian land, the existence of the 7 deadly arrays formation was indeed an unexpected great harvest. It could even be said as the only ray of hope for the Tianxian land to escape. Being the new owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation, naturally Qin Wushuang must shoulder this unprecedented great responsibility. My disciple, those beneath the heavenly supreme Tao stage can only be considered a warm-up. Only by entering the heavenly supreme Tao stage can you experience the so-called cruel natural law. The natural law is merciless. Under the rules, regardless of the Holy Emperor or ordinary people, under the absolute rules, they're all chess pieces of the natural law. And those chess pieces will always be in the minority. All right, it's too far in the future to talk about these things. I believe you're looking forward to seeing how many good things I left for you at this 7th loop. Ha ha ha. When Li Xianfeng said up to this point, his tone had clearly become much more straightforward. He also walked out from his previous sadness. Bao Bao's eyebrows moved greatly. In fact, he was not interested in these great principles. He came to the 7 deadly arrays formation to see all kinds of treasures and equipment. Now, he finally understood why there was a rumor about how one could ride above the peak of the Tianxian land after acquiring this immemorial formation. This was not as simple as riding above the peak of the Tianxian land. Any random treasure would most likely be able to ride above the peak of the Tianxian land. In comparison, the Tianxian land was too tiny. Under the background of the entire Great Luo universe, it was insignificant. My disciple, when you inherited the 7 deadly arrays formation, the door I set up for you was already opened. Whether or not you can make it out of this door will depend on your luck. Come, I have prepared too many things for you at this 7th loop. Of course, before you reach a certain level of strength, you might not be able to take some things. For some things, even if you take them, you might not be able to use them for now. The core of the 7 deadly arrays formation was at this 7th loop. After climbing the stairs of the first 6 loops, finally, he arrived at this 7th loop. Qin Wushuang's mood had calmed down. The first set of treasures I'm going to give you is, of course, weapons. As long as there was a place for cultivation, weapons would always be the most important. You also know that in the 6th ring, I have already given you the 9th Tribulation True Supreme Dao Peak weapon. Therefore, I will give you a total of 30 weapons. Among them, only 10 were the strongest. Any one of these 10 weapons would be enough to kill countless cultivators in the various star zones. At the very least, they are sovereign artifacts. Master God weapon, and it was the weakest of the 10 strongest weapons. The other 20 items are the weapons of the various tribulations of the Heavenly Supreme Path. It's not surprising at all. I didn't prepare it for you, but for your assistant. If you want to soar through the galaxy, defend the profound sky continent, and become an ambitious and ruthless person in the Great Luo universe, you must have helpers. Do you understand? The key is still the 10 strongest weapons. 7 of them are for your 7 senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters. The other 2 were Empyrean artifacts. They were a pair of divine swords named Heavenly Branch and Grand Wolf. The last one is the Holy Emperor's divine weapon, crafted by me. It's also the Holy Emperor's divine weapon that I never used in the past. 7 Master God weapons, 2 Empyrean artifacts, and 1 Holy Emperor's divine weapon. This first great gift had completely stupefied Qin Wushuang. Clearly, this had surpassed his imagination. He could only digest it by force. Bao Bao was stupefied. Master God weapons, Heavenly Venerable divine weapons, and Holy Emperor divine weapons. These brand new concepts had completely overturned his previous view of power. I have personally enlightened your 7 senior apprentice sisters. They have been reborn after consuming the divine change pill I crafted. Not to mention charging into the Heavenly Venerables, they still have hopes of charging into the Master God position. Of course, this is only a theoretical possibility. It's because the soaring of Galaxia boundary of the Tianxian land has temporarily rendered them incapable of achieving a breakthrough. However, although they may not be able to achieve a breakthrough for now, as long as they keep training, when the soaring of Galaxia boundary is shattered, there will be unexpected returns. Also, if you are willing, you can take them through the transportation channel of the 7th loop and enter the transportation plane I have reserved for you. When you train there, 1 day of work is equivalent to a year in the Tianxian land. You must remember, before you enter the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, you must not activate that transportation channel. It's because during the transportation process, either you achieve a breakthrough or you get swallowed by the channel directly. You will also implicate your senior apprentice brothers. Therefore, these 7 Master God weapons are also a gift I left for the 7 of them. You must be suspicious as to why I didn't give them to them earlier, but gave them through your hands. In fact, it's simple. Firstly, for this 7 deadly arrays formation, you are the core. You are the one that inherits my legacy. At most, they are your assistants, existences that assist you. For these things, through your hands, you can do them a favor at little cost and make them more loyal to you. Secondly, if you don't enter this formation, I don't want to expose the Master God weapons. Once the Tianxian land is breached by the foreign tribes, they will certainly discover the Master God weapons. By that time, perhaps people will know about my formation, and it will attract the attention of all elite warriors. In this case, it will go against my original intention of building the formation here. Qin Wushuang suddenly understood that there was this layer of relationship. It seemed that his teacher did not have much confidence in Senior Brother and the others to resist the foreign tribes alone. He was worried that the master god weapons would expose the secret of the formation and his teacher's secret. My disciple, it's not that I am looking down on your 7 senior brothers. I enlightened your 7 senior brothers. I also hope they can grow up. However, under the environment of the Tianxian land, it's impossible for them to grow to a level where they can fight against the foreign tribes. Only you, the one that inherits my legacy, can drive away the foreign tribes. To speak bluntly, even if the god-discarding maze is reconciled, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples cannot fight against the foreign tribes. You are the only savior of the Tianxian land. Don't doubt my words. I have investigated the foreign tribes. Their strength is far more terrifying than the Tianxian land. If they had attacked the Tianxian land with full force from the beginning, you would not even have a chance to resist. The plane where the foreign tribes reside is related to the master of the great Qian galaxy you are in. They have 2 master gods. It's fine if it's just 2 master gods. The most terrifying part is that once they encounter a setback, it's possible that the master of the galaxy will be drawn out. That is the existence at the heavenly warrior level. Bao Bao stuck out his tongue and whispered, "Boss, the Tianxian land is too unlucky. How could they have caught the fancy of such monstrous foreign tribes?" The foreign tribes you call in the Tianxian land are not called foreign tribes. They also have their own plane. The plane they are in is called the Wind and Cloud Land. The 2 master gods, one is called the Wind Master God and the other is called the Cloud Master God. These 2 guys, one male and one female, are related to the heavenly warriors of the great Qian galaxy, Wind and Cloud Land. Qin Wushuang repeated it lightly and remembered this name. The term foreign tribes was too general. It would be troublesome to investigate them in the future. With this foundation, it would be easier to investigate this Wind and Cloud Land. My disciple, the Wind and Cloud Land is a plane with a master. If you want to deal with them, you cannot act rashly. If you do, you will certainly anger the master of the galaxy and even involve existences at the level of the Holy Emperor. Although the entire Great Luo universe follows the law of the jungle, it is implemented within the boundaries of the rules. Unless you are powerful enough to ignore the existence of many Holy Emperor, you must not trample on the rules openly. The reason why the Wind and Cloud Land dares to bully you guys so openly is because the Tianxian land does not have a master of the plane. You are not registered at the Great Qian Galaxy. If you're registered at the Great Qian Galaxy, you could be counted as an official member of the Galaxy Alliance. Even if the Wind and Cloud Land wants to deal with you guys, they must use the rules and not invade by force and act as bandits in public. Rules. Qin Wushuang carefully experienced these 2 words. He was not unfamiliar with this. In his previous world on Earth, it was the same between countries. Under a system, barbaric invasions would gradually be eliminated and no one would use it anymore. However, to deal with a country, under the system, one could also use the loopholes in the rules of the game and achieve a dignified strike through various channels. To put it bluntly, it still depended on one's strength. The stronger one's strength, the stronger one's ability to operate. By grasping the loopholes in the rules, one could start a fight. For those with weak strength, even if there were a lot of loopholes, it would be difficult for them to protect themselves. How could they have the time to scheme against others? All right, let's not talk about these digressions for now. The weapon is the first great gift. As for the second great gift, naturally, it is the heavenly divine battle armor, which is roughly the same as the weapon. My disciple, I must tell you, regardless of the weapon or battle armor of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, you must not use it within the scope of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. It will only harm you. As long as you enter the heavenly Supreme Tao stage, you can even use the Holy Emperor's weapon. This is a type of rule. Even if you are at the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, you cannot use it. It is because the rules of the heavenly Supreme Tao stage are completely different from the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Once you enter the heavenly Supreme Tao stage, even if it is the first calamity, you can use the Holy Emperor's divine weapon. Of course, the power of the weapon must be discussed separately. These heavenly divine battle armor and heavenly divine battle armor are actually prepared for your future. Qin Wushuang silently remembered. He would never ignore his teacher's teachings. The third great gift has also appeared in the previous rounds. That is, free fighters. No matter if it is the purple flame electric beast or the 12 sealed scrolls, they are all free fighters. Now, what I'm going to gift you this time is the Heavenly Supreme Tao Stage Heavenly Divine Puppets. The strength of the Heavenly Supreme Tao Stage Heavenly Divine Puppets is not to be underestimated. Each Heavenly Supreme Tao Stage Heavenly Divine Puppet's fighting ability is exactly the same as a real person. They will allow you to control them as you wish. Hee, but I must tell you in advance. At most, I have prepared 6 Heavenly Supreme Tao Stage Heavenly Divine Puppets for you. But there are no Master God puppets. It's not that I can't get them, but the identity of the Master God is very special. Once they go missing, it will cause panic and inconvenience. So, I didn't take the risk. I have also prepared 12 Heavenly Supreme Tao Stage Heavenly Divine Puppets for you. Your 12 sealed spirit beasts will be able to regain their freedom once they reach this place. I will give you the incantation to undo the seal. Qin Wushuang had promised the 12 sealed scrolls that he would definitely restore their freedom. Now, hearing his teacher's arrangement, he was greatly impressed. His teacher's thoughts were indeed meticulous. With his powerful strength, it was really rare for him to care about a few little spiritual beasts. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 895. Although there were no Master God puppets, Qin Wushuang still felt very comfortable with Empyrean God puppets. This was really a generous gift. For Qin Wushuang, what he lacked the most now was manpower. Especially when the foreign tribes invaded and the Starry River boundary was about to be broken, Empyrean Supreme Tao experts were very useful. One more Empyrean Supreme Tao expert was one more safeguard. These 12 Empyrean God puppets are different from ordinary sealed puppets. They can evolve. Their cultivation speed is the same as ordinary cultivators. There's no problem at all. You don't have to worry about their equipment and weapons. They're all equipped. This kind of fighter can be summoned at will and can fight. Haha, you must be satisfied, right? Disciple, you can let these Empyrean God puppets cultivate the 9 palaces to 1 sword formation of the 6th ring. I can tell you clearly that if 9 6 tribulation Empyrean God puppets use this sword formation, even a Master God will be at a disadvantage. Qin Wushuang's heart trembled. The 9 palaces to 1 sword formation could still be cultivated at the 6th tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. It seemed that the power of this sword formation was indeed extraordinary. Similarly, if you have 9 masters to use this sword formation together, haha, even a heavenly venerable will have to flee at the mere sight of it. Li Xianfeng was very proud. Of course, you don't have to think too much. Currently, 9 masters is just a pipe dream for you. These 12 Empyrean God puppets also don't have the potential to break through to the Master God realm. However, their cultivation is relatively balanced. At least they are at the 3rd tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. Most are at the 4th or 5th tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. 2 of them are at the 6th tribulation Empyrean Supreme Tao level. They are advanced Empyrean gods. With these Empyrean God puppets, Qin Wushuang was much more confident. Unfortunately, these Empyrean God puppets still required Qin Wushuang to be at the Empyrean Supreme Tao level before he could control them. Otherwise, he would suffer a backlash. Of course, this was also because of the Empyrean Supreme Tao rules. In this way, Qin Wushuang was even more motivated to break through to the Empyrean Supreme Tao level. The 4th gift is a divine ability called the Heavenly Dipper Earthly Fiend Transformation Divine Ability. This divine ability is also a necessary divine ability for you to roam the great Luo universe. This divine ability would allow you to achieve twice the result with half the effort when roaming the great Luo universe. Once you cultivate this divine ability, you can transform into any form and soul at will. Every time you go to a plane, you can imitate the form and soul of that plane's cultivators so that you don't look like an outsider. Just like your Tian Xian land, many planes reject foreign martial artists. After all, only a heavenly supreme Tao elite could cross planes. For a heavenly supreme Tao expert to appear in someone else's territory, it is inevitable that they will be on guard. Qin Wushuang had no doubts about this. My disciple, now that you are here, you must be wondering why there is no cultivation method in the gift I prepared for you. Let me tell you, when you reach the heavenly supreme Tao stage, every move is no longer important. The key is the comprehension of the laws. How much power of the rules you can integrate, how much power you can create, it all depends on your comprehension of the rules and the degree to which you can use them in your attacks. Moves are dead. Only by comprehending the rules can you learn and use them flexibly. In terms of cultivation technique, the Great 5 Attributes Reincarnation Seal will not be outdated even if you train to the peak of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. For the Great 5 Attributes Reincarnation Seal, Qin Wushuang had only cultivated to the third profound stage. He had yet to completely comprehend the third profound stage. Qin Wushuang nodded silently, as if he was deep in thought. Although he had yet to enter the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, at the genuine Supreme Tao stage, when he was training the Great 5 Attributes Reincarnation Seal, he already had a similar feeling. Before the rules, the changes in moves were clearly not as important as before. This did not mean that moves were not needed. On the contrary, moves would play an outstanding role in battle. However, the key to the usage of moves was the integration with the rules. All right, my disciple, although the next gift I am giving you is not the main thing, to you, it is indispensable. For example, a big map. There are also various anecdotes and records of the great Luo universe. There is absolutely no harm in learning more about these things. There are also various major languages of the great Luo universe that you must learn. Of course, things like languages are generally similar. It is very easy to learn. Qin Wushuang was quite touched. Although this master was a peerless expert, he was meticulous and considerate. It could be said that he had resolved many of his worries in advance. There were too many things in the seventh ring. Qin Wushuang slowly digested them. At this moment, Li Xuanfeng's voice sounded again. It was clearly much deeper than before. Lastly, I must tell you that the wisp of chaotic qi that I seize from the chaotic great Luo primordial realm, it is sealed in the seventh ring of the formation. At the very least, your cultivation must be at the peak of the ninth tribulation heavenly supreme Tao stage to be able to make all the Holy Emperor look up to you. Only then can you unlock the seal of this wisp of chaotic qi. Remember, this is chaotic qi. It is not an ordinary thing. If you do not control it well, not to mention the Tian Xian land, the entire star field, the entire small universe, and many other small universes around it may collapse instantly. This is not an exaggeration to scare you. Don't think that this chaotic qi can be obtained easily. It is said that in the reproduction of the great Luo universe, only a wisp of chaotic qi can be nurtured in every boundless calamity. One boundless calamity lasts for 981 billion years. One boundless calamity and 10,000 small boundless calamities. You can imagine how rare this chaotic qi is. One boundless calamity lasts for 801 billion years. Since the great Luo universe has operated until now, it has experienced many boundless calamities. Countless people have tried their luck, but how many people have truly obtained the chaotic qi? How many people have obtained the chaotic qi and achieved the supreme great Luo realm? At the moment, this is still a mystery. My disciple, if this chaotic qi is not guided well, it will form an explosion. Perhaps the destructive explosion will form a new universe. Perhaps it will return everything to the original state. This is something that no one knows. No one has witnessed it with their own eyes, and no one dares to try it. This was natural. This kind of consequence was not something that any person could bear. This was already somewhat close to the original state of the universe. Qin Wushuang recalled the saying about the original state of the universe in his previous life. It was said that it came from the Big Bang of the universe. It seemed that this chaotic qi was not completely without basis. My disciple, before you have confidence in this chaotic qi, don't touch it, and don't even try to fuse it. The energy contained in the chaotic qi is not something that you can imagine. Remember, there is no need to explain this. Qin Wushuang would not be so impulsive to the point of refining the chaotic qi. He was not arrogant to that extent. All right, my good disciple, what I can teach you, I have already taught you. Before entering the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, you can choose to cultivate here. Although this place is not suitable for the cultivation of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, for the cultivators of the true Supreme Tao stage, one day here is at least 100 days in the outside world. I don't ask much of you. If you wish to live and die in the future, reincarnate, and seize good fortune, you can consider reviving me. But you don't have to force yourself. After all, you have not refined the chaotic qi, so it is impossible for you to master these supreme rules. If you can't do it, don't force it. I only hope that when your cultivation reaches my level in the future, you can go to my hometown, the Kidu Star of the 9 luminaries, to take a look. It is a beautiful place. Qin Wushuang silently remembered these and said in his heart, Master, please rest assured. I will definitely do as you wish. Hago, complete my unfinished business. Don't have any misgivings. When you live to 1,000,000 years old, you'll find that the length of life no longer has much meaning. The width and breadth of life is what you should pursue. Li Xuanfeng's last words were thought-provoking. When Qin Wushuang heard it, it was like the evening drum and morning bell in his ears. He was deeply inspired and deeply moved. Yes, after living to 1,000,000 years old, how much meaning does the length of life have? Living for another 1,000,000 years, a few million years, or even a few 100,000,000 years is nothing more than a simple continuation. Eternal life was a beautiful topic. However, if one truly acquired eternal life, would one not get tired of repeating it day after day? Those who yearn for eternal life would always be those ordinary people who did not even have the luxury of living to 100 years old. Boss, your teacher is too powerful, right? Bao Bao also took a long breath and gave a long sigh. This time, he was truly convinced. Qin Wushuang laughed. Elite warriors at the peak of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage are rare existences in the entire Great Luo universe. Of course, they're powerful. Bao did not argue, but gave a long sigh. I wonder how many little universes there are in this Great Luo universe, and how many heavenly martial holy emperors there are. Even if we know how many little universes there are, we might not know how many heavenly martial holy emperors there are. For sure, only the heavenly martial holy emperor can become the master of a little universe. However, not all holy emperors who train to the 9th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage are qualified to become the master of a little universe. Look at my teacher. He is high talent, right? He did not become the master of a little universe. He only said that if he could endure for a few more million years, perhaps he could rule a little universe. Unfortunately, my teacher is a person who cannot endure loneliness. Bao Bao agreed with Li Xuanfeng's thought. Boss, after living for 1,000,000 years, I'm already tired of it. It's monotonous to follow the rules every day. I feel that there's nothing wrong with your teacher daring to take risks. If it were me, for sure I would do the same. While these two were talking, the 5-color divine lights kept shooting out from the entire formation. When they interweaved, they lit up the entire space. Those treasures sealed in the surroundings also kept being unsealed. They cracked open from the surrounding mountain walls and revealed their true bodies. Qin Wushuang took them all and put them into his storage space. The miraculous nature was apparent. For this 7th loop, not to mention a plane like the Tian Xian land, even if it was placed in a little universe, it would be enough to drive all the martial artists of the entire universe crazy. Chapter 896. Now, Qin Wushuang had completely calmed down. Currently, these treasures, including the heavenly god puppet, could not be activated. Qin Wushuang was not greedy. Instead, he took out the 7 master god weapons. As for the rest, including the heavenly god armor, the heavenly god puppet, and the heavenly dipper earthly fiend transformation technique, he left them untouched. Now, he had not soared to the Galaxia and had not broken through. It would be useless to take these things. It would be safer to leave them here. However, Qin Wushuang had brought those strange stories, maps, and the common language with him. What made Qin Wushuang extremely satisfied was that among the equipment of the heavenly divine battle armor, there were a few rings that could be used as storage equipment. Compared to the storage space of the secular world, it was the difference between heaven and earth. Among them, the Holy Emperor equipment used by his teacher, Li Xianfeng, was fully equipped. Including the storage space, it could hold an entire plane. One could even say that one ring was an entire world. This was simply breathtaking. Of course, Qin Wushuang could only look at it now. Without the power of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, he could not activate these things. Qin Wushuang wandered around the core of the formation again. He already knew where the terrifying chaotic qi was sealed. He would not touch it easily. This thing was more terrifying than a time bomb. If he was not careful, once it exploded, only God knew what kind of scene it would be. By that time, the Tianxian land, the Fengyan land of the foreign tribes, and the great Qian starfield would all turn into ashes. Not even a scrap would be left. On the other hand, his teacher's divine soul had been completely sealed. Only a wisp of divine soul consciousness existed and was different from the entire divine soul. If it was the entire divine soul, he only needed to find a physical body to be reborn. However, now that his divine soul was scattered, it meant that he had to reassemble it. This was too difficult. However, Qin Wushuang was not discouraged. Inwardly, he made up his mind that as long as there was a glimmer of hope, he would never give up. Boss, this place is so rich in spiritual energy. It's a cultivation platform that your master left for you. It's practically a cheat-level existence. Since there are still 3 months before the god discarding door opens, why don't we cultivate here for 2 months? Since Bao Bao had rarely encountered such a devilish training place, of course he would not let it go. Qin Wushuang was even more anxious than Bao Bao. After all, his master had made it clear that cultivating here for 1 day was equivalent to cultivating for 100 days in the outside world. With such a freakish speed, even if he only cultivated for 2 months, it was still very impressive. If 1 day was equivalent to 100 days, 2 months would be equivalent to 200 months. Nearly 20 years was enough for them to do a lot of things. For 2 months, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao were like greedy Tao'dais as they absorbed the supreme Tao power in this space to their heart's content. They refined their bodies and refined their divine souls. Naturally, the harvest was huge. Not only had Qin Wushuang completely grasped the 3rd level of the profound mysteries of the great 5 elements samsara seal, he had also increased the strength of his tribulation. From the 4th calamity of the true supreme Tao stage to the 5th calamity of the true supreme Tao stage. In 2 months, he had increased his strength by 1 tribulation. Although 1 day was equivalent to 100 days, if the elite warriors of the outside world were to learn about the speed of upgrading from the 4th calamity to the 5th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage in 20 years, most likely their jaws would drop to the ground. Clearly, this was too exaggerated. Of course, it was also because the supreme Tao power inside Qin Wushuang's body was of the same origin as the 5-colored divine lights. They all came from Li Xuanfeng's training essence. To put it bluntly, it was a form of memory recovery. One could say that such training was blessed by nature and outsiders could not replicate it. Bao Bao's bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey also allowed him to gain a lot during training. He had also increased his strength by 1 level and entered the 2nd calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Boss, let's make a deal. When we come out of the god discarding door, you must bring me here. Haha, this place is too great. If you give me 10 years, perhaps I can also train to your level. If you give me 50 years, perhaps I can also become an existence at the level of the Paramount Totem Elite Warriors? Haha, that's easy. However, Bao Bao, can't you have a bigger ambition? Could it be that the Paramount Totem Elite Warrior is your limit? Haha, Bao Bao scratched his head. Boss, could it be that I'm also qualified to make a dash for the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage? Bao Bao, if you want to be my brother, just wait to be spurred on by me. Don't think about slacking off. Bao Bao said excitedly. Boss, I know that I will always gain a lot of benefits by following you. The first time I saw you at the Monkey King Mountain, I felt that you were a great lucky star. Bao Bao, since your ancestor is the spiritual monkey from the immemorial era, perhaps he is also at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. If your ancestor could do it, why can't you do it? Besides, we could go to other planes to train. Could it be that you don't want to surpass your ancestor and achieve something that your Gold Monkey King clan never achieved? Bao Bao blinked his eyes and looked at Qin Wushuang. His eyes revealed an excited expression. Boss, you mean I can make a dash of the Master God stage? Master God? Qin Wushuang revealed a light smile. The Master God stage is definitely not the limit for you and me. With a great teacher at the level of the Holy Emperor, if we don't train to the level of the Holy Emperor, how could we face him? Boss, you are his disciple, I am not. You have such a good foundation. Your master has already paved the way for you. Bao Bao, with the path paved, I'm not the only one who can walk it. Remember, if I achieve the strength of the Holy Emperor, I can also enlighten you guys. Bao Bao's eyes lit up. Yes, yes. Your teacher is the Holy Emperor. He can turn stone into gold. In the future, you will surpass him. For sure, you will be even more powerful. Bao Bao, don't tell the outside world about this place for now. All right, Bao Bao answered. Suddenly, he asked again, what if Senior Lone and Fire Kylan ask? Tell them that when their cultivation base reaches the true Supreme Tao stage, they can experience it for themselves. Don't ask about it. All right, Bao Bao chuckled. Boss, please do me a favor. In the future, if I train to the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, you must let me pick one of the 20 Heavenly Supreme Tao weapons beside your Master God weapons. No need for this. Although there are only 7 Master God weapons, if we are to go out and adventure in the future, not to mention Heavenly Supreme Tao weapons, I will work hard to find Master God weapons for you. Excitement shone from Bao Bao's eyes. He scratched his ears and cheeks for he was incredibly happy. All right, Bao Bao, we must leave. The God discarding door is about to open. I think people of the Qin clan are also anxious. The two of them returned to the formation platform and started their return journey. For this 7th loop, they did not need to worry about people entering by mistake like the previous few loops. The setup of this 7th loop was not something anyone from the Tianxian land could find. Even if they were to enter by accident before the powerful Heavenly Supreme Tao defenses, they would only face death. Along the way, they returned to the 4th loop of the Xian Yuan Mound through the transportation formation. They left the Tortoise King Mountain and returned to the aspiring Throne Mountain in less than a day. For the Qin clan, naturally, they were endlessly overjoyed when they saw the return of the head chief. With the head chief here, the Qin clan would have a backbone. Chief Yunran, Chongyang, during this time, did the Golden Crow come to make a ruckus? Head chief, in these 2 months, everything has been calm and peaceful. It seems all powerhouses have reached a mutual understanding and are waiting for the opening of the God discarding door. This is good. Everyone get ready. Be ready to go at any time. Deep inside the endless Eastern Sea, in the rushing Current Valley area, the Golden Crow was surrounded by a group of different divine beasts at the core area. Your Highness, at the Illusion Heavenly Lake, the Karakoram Immortal Sect, and those first-rate Taoist sects have already gathered. They are ready to depart at any time. The situation at the extreme North Snow Zone is almost the same. At the Heavenly Fire southern border, the Fire God clan lost their paramount Totem Elite Warrior and is rather chaotic. However, the Totem Elite Warrior of the Divine Farmer clan has extremely powerful rallying power. They have already stabilized the situation at the southern border and are ready to depart. At the Eastern Sea, the core of the 18 dragon clans have always been at the first-rate dragon palace. The Forefather Dragon clan is also preparing to depart with them. The Xian Yuan clan is the closest to the human countries. They have not gathered yet, but they will be soon. The last one to answer was indeed Saberbeard. When the Golden Crow heard all the reports, he nodded slightly. He stopped to look at Saberbeard for a moment. Saberbeard, last time you caused so much trouble and almost exposed your identity. You have ruined our great plan. Saberbeard was extremely ashamed. Your Highness, that Xian one is a good-for-nothing. If he didn't drop the ball at the most crucial moment, this embarrassing matter would not have happened. Perhaps I have already acquired an advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. The Golden Crow shook his head. It's not that easy. The advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate is even stricter in the inspection of your identity. Saberbeard, your background is unknown. Even if you have acquired the soaring Galaxia commanding plate, I am afraid they will not let you in. Saberbeard gave a helpless sigh. Your Highness, that controller of the god discarding door is truly tyrannical. Could it be that those totem powerhouses cannot do anything to him? The Golden Crow also had limited knowledge of the god discarding door. He said with a bitter smile, "It seems that the totem powerhouses are restraining their fear of that controller. As for whether or not he is at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, it's hard to say. In principle, he should not be at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. It's because it's impossible for someone at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage to appear in the Tianxian land. In the past, those at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage all went to seal the soaring Galaxia barrier. However, there are always many cunning people at the Tianxian land. It's hard to say if an accident were to happen. Your Highness, then what should we do? Could it be we are still going to watch them go in? This time, we can't hold back anymore. If we miss this opportunity, we will have to wait for a few thousand years. By that time, when the soaring Galaxia barrier shatters, we will not have the chance to make contributions. It will not set off our contributions." The Golden Crow nodded. "Since we can't, we can only take the risk. This time, I will go out myself and see what that controller wants. Could it be that if they can have the soaring Galaxia commanding plate, I can't? Your Highness, I am afraid it's not appropriate for you to go out yourself. The reason why the controller is so strict with the identity verification, it must be to guard against spies from the outside. Or else, since we are all martial artists of the Tianxian land, why would they investigate so strictly? I think they have some tricks up their sleeves. If you go, most likely you will expose yourself." The Golden Crow said with an eerie smile, "It doesn't matter if I can't get it. I already arranged a few spies and successfully infiltrated their team. I acquired 4 advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates. As long as one of them successfully infiltrates, they will release those seniors sealed in the god discarding maze. Ha. By that time, with attacks from both inside and outside, it would be difficult for the Tianxian land not to perish." As soon as he spoke these words, each of the beast clans around him felt their blood surging. Endless vicious lights flashed across their eyes as they were extremely excited. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 897. The Golden Crow was naturally cunning. Since he said it this way, of course the other beast clans believed him without a doubt. In fact, these beast clans were the seeds of the beast clan that the wind and cloudland brought in tens and thousands of years ago. Tens and thousands of years ago, they only had the bloodline of the divine clan and had not hatched. Besides the Golden Crow that existed tens and thousands of years ago, the other divine beasts had slowly hatched with the passage of time. Only the divine souls of these divine beasts had been brainwashed by the wind and cloudland since a young age. Naturally, it was reasonable for them to work for the wind and cloudland. Regarding the god discarding door for tens and thousands of years, there were countless versions of rumors. For the elite warriors of the Tianxian land, only a small number of people had participated in the opening of the god discarding door a few thousand years ago. Besides some elite warriors of the totem clans, not many were left. This time, the gathering place was a place that no one had imagined. The human countries. The human countries, a place that the Tianxian land had always viewed as a chicken rib, had become the focus of this opening of the god discarding door. Regarding the location of the god discarding door, many totem elite warriors knew that there were different entrances. In the hidden places of each major forbidden spiritual zones, not all of those totem elite warriors knew about it. However, the human countries also had an entrance to the god discarding door. This question lingered in everyone's head. On the contrary, Qin Wushuang had always been calm and collected. He knew that senior brother Li Bai must have had his reasons when he wandered around the human countries. Qin Wushuang was rather curious. If there was an entrance to the god discarding door in the human countries, where would it be? Under the leadership of the totem clans of each major forbidden spiritual zones, almost all elite warriors of the Tianxian land had poured out and appeared in the human countries. The human countries had welcomed the biggest pageant in history. 100 years ago, the structure of the human countries was dominated by the 9 Palace faction, the Emperor Buddha Palace, and the 9 Raven Temple. Later on, the 9 Palace faction was defeated by the Stargaze Palace and established a new tripartite balance of power. Later on, the Stargaze Palace rose strongly and almost became the undisputed leader of the human countries. In the recent years, the Stargaze Palace had successfully marched into the Xian Yuan Mound. However, the legacy of the Stargaze Palace in the human countries had not been extinguished. The 5 palace masters supported a portion of the core disciples and continued to nurture their strength in the Stargaze Palace. Their strength was on par with the Emperor Buddha Palace and the 9 Raven Temple. They still maintained the balance of power and firmly grasped the situation in the eastern part of the human countries in their hands. They would not allow other sects to have a chance to get involved. Of course, the elite warriors from the Stargaze Palace that had already entered the Xian Yuan Mound could not participate in the affairs of the human countries directly. This was the bottom line of the human countries. What Qin Wushuang never expected was that the gathering place this time was actually the Great Song Mountain. The Great Song Mountains was the place where Qin Wushuang had started his training. It was a treasured land that nurtured the Eastwood Qin. The Great Song Mountains, which stretched for thousands of miles, could not be considered vast, but it gave Qin Wushuang a feeling of motherly love. Unexpectedly, senior brother Li Bai had asked all sects to gather at the Great Song Mountains. Although the gathering place was far away from Qin Wushuang's cave, if someone wanted to investigate, they could easily find that cave. However, up to this point, Qin Wushuang was not worried that someone would discover this cave at the second loop. It could be said that even if he was discovered, he would not care. He had already explored the 7 deadly arrays formation to the 7th loop and grasped all the mysteries. Without Qin Wushuang's divine power to activate the transportation circle, it would be impossible for outsiders to explore the mysteries of the 7 deadly arrays formation. To put it bluntly, this 7 deadly arrays formation was only an ordinary cave. However, Qin Wushuang still held deep feelings for the Great Song Mountains. He would not allow anyone to step into this cave and taint the sacred place of the 7 deadly arrays formation. When the Qin clan heard about the gathering place and heard that it was close to the Eastwood Qin clan, each of them was incredibly curious. They wanted to see it and witness the rise of the head chief. Qin Wushuang was not pretentious as he took the people of the Qin clan to set up camp at the Heavenly Royal Mansion. Although the people of this mansion had already retreated, the Bayou country would not remove the mansion as well. On the contrary, the royal family would use all methods to maintain the Heavenly Royal Mansion to perfection. For such a major backer, the Bayou country could not fawn over them, even in their dreams. Qin Wushuang revisited the old place and took Morong Su to wander around the back of the mountain. Suddenly, he moved his brow and carried a smile on the corner of his mouth. "Senior brother, you still have time to wait for me here?" Before the cliff ahead, Li Bai stood there with a faint smile. He said leisurely, "Wushuang, I just want to see what the formation set up by my teacher looks like. Haha. Although this great Song Mountain is not a towering mountain that stretches for hundreds of thousands of miles, it has a rich foundation. Wushuang, I am afraid you never imagined that this place is the biggest entrance to the god discarding door, right? The biggest entrance. Li Bai said seriously. That's right. This time, perhaps it will be the last time the god discarding door will be opened, and the biggest one. It's still unknown whether the Tianxian land can hold on until the next opening of the god discarding door. Therefore, this time, we must open all mazes from all directions. Qin Wushuang asked thoughtfully, Senior brother, this way, the entrance here can lead to all 12 levels of the maze? That's right. Previously at the endless Eastern Sea, you were swept into the god discarding maze by the space turbulence. In fact, that place is also an entrance. However, at most, that entrance can only allow you to enter the 8th maze. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. Indeed, senior style is extraordinary. Senior brother, are the other senior brothers all here? Li Bai said just these 2 days. It will take a few more days for the god discarding door to open officially. When they're all here, it will be about time. Yes, eldest senior brother, Master has left behind some things for you. I already brought it out from there. Since the other senior brothers are not here yet, you can give it to them. Li Bai shook his head with a smile. Wushuang, teacher has his reasons for asking you to do a favor. You should give it to them. I'll only take my share. Qin Wushuang laughed. All right, fortunately, teacher marked each gift, so he would not give it to the wrong person. Senior brother, this starry cloud whip is for you. The starry cloud whip was not a long, soft whip, but a hard one. As soon as he took it out, instantly, this starry cloud whip gave off the feeling of being surrounded by stars. The rich starry chi made all the colors in the surroundings become bright and vibrant. It gave off a feeling of great achievement. Li Bai took it and waved it lightly. His expression changed slightly, and a strange light shone from his pupils. Master God Weapon? Qin Wushuang nodded leisurely. Since teacher left it at the end, certainly it will not be ordinary. Senior brother, this is also teacher's expectation for you guys. He hopes that in the future, you guys will have enough qualifications to not bring disgrace to these weapons. Li Bai put away his usual cheerful expression and said with a serious expression, For teacher's great favor, us as his disciples are truly unable to repay him. Wushuang, you are teacher's inheritor. You will supervise the 7 of us. We will work hard and not let down teacher's great favor. Senior brother, teacher also has some other instructions. When a major matter of the god discarding door is finished, we will discuss it at length. All right. Now, Li Bai could no longer see Qin Wushuang as that little junior brother that needed to be taken care of. Instead, he saw him as the inheritor of his teacher's legacy, the core figure. Wushuang, you have inherited all of teacher's legacy. I am afraid this god discarding door is meaningless to you. However, you still must not let down your guard. Li Bai warned earnestly. He was afraid that Qin Wushuang would become arrogant and let down his guard at the god discarding maze. After all, Qin Wushuang was only at the 5th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. He had not reached the stage where he could do whatever he wanted. Even paramount totem elite warriors would have to be careful inside and would not dare to neglect the slightest. Paramount totem elite warriors would face the danger of losing their lives, not to mention the 5th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Aha! Senior brother, don't worry. I will pay attention to the god discarding door. Teacher left behind 7 Master God weapons. I hope you guys can practice them soon. With the Master God weapons, it will allow you to challenge elite warriors above the 2nd level, right? Li Bai nodded. Yes, if I can unleash the power of the Master God weapons, I have the confidence to fight against those at the 5th calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Murong Su smacked his tongue inwardly when he heard this. Yes, senior brother, these Master God weapons are also trump cards for the Tianxian land to deal with the foreign tribes in the future. You must dig out their greatest potential. As for training, teacher left a way out, so don't worry too much. Although 10,000 years is not long, As long as we manage it well, surely we can beat away the foreign tribes. Li Bai laughed. I believe in teachers' work without a doubt. 3 days later, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples gathered. For the first time, Qin Wushuang attended the gathering of their little circle as the core figure of Li Xuanfeng's line. Naturally, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples were extremely respectful to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang did not neglect them, as he got along happily with everyone. Naturally, those Master God weapons made everyone incredibly happy. Everyone was overjoyed. Qin Wushuang was neither arrogant nor rash. His steady and magnanimous personality made the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples think highly of him. Finally, the god discarding door that was on the verge of appearing welcomed the time to open. All 300 elite warriors from the Tianxian land had arrived. Each forbidden spiritual zone had 60 soaring Galaxia commanding plates. The 5 forbidden spiritual zones had a total of 300 soaring Galaxia commanding plates. For the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, besides Li Bai, the others still did not show their faces and remained mysterious. Li Bai revealed a light smile and swept across everyone with his eyes. Everyone, after a few thousand years, beside a few familiar faces, the rest of the 300 faces are all unfamiliar. What does this mean? It means that the Supreme Tao elite warriors of the Tianxian land have weak vitality. A Supreme Tao elite warrior should have extremely strong vitality. Each time the god discarding door opens, there are many fortuitous opportunities. Why is it that only a few survive? Have you all reflected on this problem? Li Bai's words were thought-provoking. Like a great bell, it rang in everyone's mind. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.qijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 898. Indeed, this was a question worthy of deep thought. For tens of thousands of years, the god discarding door had been opened at least 10 times. Each time, it had its own fortuitous opportunities. In theory, even if elite warriors of the heavenly supreme Tao stage did not appear, there should be many elite warriors of the genuine supreme Tao stage. However, across the entire world, besides the totem powerhouses, ordinary first-rate powerhouses had at most 1 or 2 genuine supreme Tao stage warriors. Many of those elite warriors who gained benefits from the god discarding door could not pass through the supreme Tao calamities safely. They kept falling. Therefore, for tens and thousands of years, not only did the number of supreme Tao elite warriors in the Tianxian land not increase, it kept decreasing. Of course, all of this was related to the soaring of Galaxia barrier. In the end, it was due to the lack of good seedlings and geniuses from the sections. Everyone this time, it can be said to be the grandest one in the history of the god discarding door. It's 100% open. Once you enter, you'll have the chance to touch the ultimate secret of the god discarding door. The first group will explore the first 4 levels of the god discarding maze. Those with the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate can prepare. The second batch is from the 5th to 8th levels of the god discarding labyrinth. The first 4 levels of the labyrinth do not mean much to you. Wait for 4 months before it's your turn. Li Bai continued to speak. The third group will be top elite warriors with the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. They will explore the 9th to 12th maze. This is the core area of the entire god discarding maze. Before that, all holders of Starry River badges, please submit all your proof of identity and origin to us for review. This was a necessary procedure. Under the organization of each totem powerhouse, soon these identity documents were collected. Li Bai started to review them unhurriedly. No one at the scene dared to reveal an impatient expression as they only waited patiently. Everyone knew that there was only one person who would decide whether they could enter the god discarding door. It would be this controller before them. He had the absolute qualifications. After Li Bai looked through the 300 identity documents for about 2 hours, he glanced over some of them and read through some seriously. Although Li Bai was expressionless, Each of his movements made everyone at the scene shudder with fear. They were afraid that Li Bai would eliminate anyone who was unreliable. 2 hours later, he had finished reading all 300 books. A trace of a strange smile emerged from the corner of Li Bai's mouth. He glanced across the entire scene with a somewhat playful gaze and patted the 300 certificates on his hand. Basically, there are no problems. However, 3 of you cannot go in. For these 3 spots, 2 are from the Heavenly Fire's southern border, and 1 is from the endless Eastern Sea. Yes, 2 of them were holders of intermediate galaxy tokens, and 1 was a holder of advanced galaxy tokens. On this occasion, there was no need to call out names. The supreme totem elite warriors in your area will inform you individually. The martial artists of the Heavenly Fire southern border and endless Eastern Sea clearly showed a sluggish expression. 3 spots? Would it be his turn to be so unlucky? Qin Wushuang watched this scene with an expressionless face. He did not show any signs of intimacy with Li Bai. He knew that his relationship with Li Bai could only exist within the small circle of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. For the time being, it must not be announced to the public. Who knows, there might be spies among these 300 people. Now, indeed, 3 spots were removed. Regardless of whether they were spies or not, it would be best to be careful. Suddenly, Qin Wushuang felt a few complicated gazes focused on his face from the east. He turned his head to look, and it was the Amei Taoist sect. An elegant and refined voice emerged. Dressed in a set of plain training clothes, it was difficult for her to shine among the crowd. Especially that pure and flawless face. That pair of eyes as pure as the autumn water seemed like a clear spring that had never been polluted. It made one feel tender affection when they looked at her. Shui Rulin. A few dozen years had passed since they parted at the Illusion Heavenly Lake. This Shui Rulin was the same as in the past. 30 or 40 years of time seemed to have only passed by her in 30 or 40 days. She did not leave any traces of time. The instant when Shui Rulin's eyes met with Qin Wushuang, she revealed a trace of shy joy. Female Celestial Miao Yun gave a cold snore from the side and caused Shui Rulin's tender body to tremble slightly. Then, she understood that her teacher was on the side and could only turn her face away. Inside her heart, bursts of ripples kept spreading. When Qin Wushuang saw female Celestial Miao Yun's repulsive expression, he felt disgusted inwardly and no longer paid attention to her. He only felt that for such a pure and flawless girl like Shui Rulin to have such a narrow-minded teacher like female Celestial Miao Yun, it was truly a killjoy. On the side of the endless Eastern Sea, the Shangyi couple also walked over and greeted Qin Wushuang. Mi Jia and Yi Qian of the Pu Lao clan also walked over since they shared some friendship with Qin Wushuang. Initially, the Horned Dragon clan Mi Jia belonged to his sworn enemies with Shang Ye's Coiled Dragon clan. However, because of Qin Wushuang, the young people of the 2 clans did not view each other with too much hostility. Qin Wushuang went up to welcome them with a smile. "Brother Shangyi, long time no see. You have improved a lot." Shangyi laughed. "Compared to you, it's nothing. How about it? How's the preparation this time? The god discarding maze is so mysterious, there's nothing to prepare. We only need to see how we perform on the spot." "Boss Shangyi, how many spots did your Coiled Dragon clan get this time?" "Aha, we have 5 spots this time. Therefore, we have the opportunity to enter the god discarding door. Or else, it would not have been our turn." Qin Wushuang laughed and looked at Mi Jia. "Little sorceress, your complexion looks good. Have you harmed the young dragon masters of the Eastern Sea recently? Especially brother Yi Qian. Did you bully him?" Yi Qian immediately said, "Brother Wushuang, Miss Mi Jia is very easygoing now. She will not bully people, haha." Mi Jia glared at Yi Qian. "You talk too much. Be careful, I will pull out your tongue." Yi Qian chuckled and did not dare to say anything more. It was apparent that he was restraining his fear of Mi Jia. After a few dozen years, clearly these young people of the Eastern Sea had also grown up. Each of them had their own responsibilities. Each of them acquired a primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate and acquire the qualification to explore the first 4 levels of the maze. Mi Jia was almost qualified to acquire the intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate. However, to be conservative, the patriarch of the Horned Dragon clan did not give her the intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate. 1 spot from her Eastern Sea got disqualified. Certainly, there will be a substitute. I just don't know who will get that spot. I'm too lazy to care. No matter what, 1 spot will not be given to the Horned Dragon clan. Certainly, the Forefather Dragon clan took it for themselves. It was not a dispute that the Totem clan would go. Just when everyone was discussing who got disqualified, suddenly Li Bai gave a cold snort. With a gaze like lightning, he shot to the road from the south and shouted, "Since you are here, don't hide, right?" Like a needle, this voice pierced their eardrums and caused each martial artist to feel a burst of ringing in their ears. Indeed, a sinister sneer came from the south. "Good fortune teller, you have great skill. Even the paramount totem elite warriors did not discover it, yet you did." As soon as this voice came out, Qin Wushuang's complexion turned slightly cold. The expression of those paramount totem elite warriors also changed at the same time. Golden Crow. People of the Qin clan who heard the voice of the Golden Crow also reacted. "Haha, it seems I'm not very popular. Why are each of you on guard?" With a sweep of divine light, the Golden Crow transformed into a burst of tyrannical golden light. Inside the golden light, a giant man covered in golden armor was wrapped. He had an abnormally tall figure and had an eye-catching hooked nose. With a deep gaze, he appeared extremely vicious. Clearly, this was the appearance of the Golden Crow when he transformed. Next to Qin Wushuang, Bao Bao clicked his tongue and cried out, "I didn't expect that this Golden Crow would have some good looks after transforming into a human." Lone mocked with his rough voice, "You are not going to sell your body. Why do you need such good looks?" He did not conceal his voice at all. Of course, the Golden Crow heard him and shot over with a gaze like lightning. Qin Wushuang laughed lightly. "You evil creature! Did you recover from your injuries last time? You dare to wreak havoc here. Could it be you don't want to live?" The expression of the Golden Crow sunk. "Kid of the Qin clan, last time when you hid inside the sect, I let you go. You must promise that you will not come out again, or else I will let you know the consequences of offending the Golden Crow." When those paramount totem elite warriors saw that the Golden Crow was fighting with Qin Wushuang again, they all clicked their tongues in wonder. In fact, after being entangled with the Golden Crow for a few dozen years, they were also exhausted. If Qin Wushuang was willing to take this job, they would be eager to transfer the mission immediately. The Golden Crow landed on the high ground and looked around with an arrogant gaze. He said casually, "I say, fortune teller, I know you are exceptional. You are the controller of the god discarding door. Since you have an extra spot, at least give me one. I'm also a part of the Tianxian land." Li Bai shot a glance at the Golden Crow with a cold sneer. "You want it?" The Golden Crow stuck out his chest. "Could it be I'm not qualified?" "You are qualified, but it seems that the people here do not welcome you," Li Bai said with a grinning face. "Do I need them to welcome me?" "I say, fortune teller, don't drag it out. Let me ask you, since I'm a part of the Tianxian land, I am qualified to get a soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Are you going to give it to me or not?" Li Bai appeared to have great self-restraint as he still spoke with a neither fast nor slow pace. "It's true that you're a part of the Tianxian land. However, I heard that you have always been a destroyer of the Tianxian land. In the immemorial era, you appeared as a destroyer. Now that you have been reborn, you are walking the same old path. Our god discarding door does not welcome you." The expression of the Golden Crow sank. "Don't speak with such a dignified tone. Just tell me whether you will give me the soaring Galaxia commanding plate or not. It's all up to you. Why should you pretend to speak with a compassionate tone? I dare to promise that if the foreign tribes truly invade, perhaps you will escape faster than me." Upon hearing the words "foreign tribes," everyone's expression seemed to have been bitten by a poisonous snake. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 899. Li Bai's method of killing the Golden Crow had instantly tamed all Paramount Totem elite warriors. Their little schemes had collapsed instantly. With the entire scene intimidated, it was much easier to carry out Li Bai's orders. In the past, due to Li Bai's mysterious background, he would make a move occasionally. However, he always hid his strength well and appeared to be on par with the Paramount elite warriors. He never deliberately showed off. Unexpectedly, when he revealed his strength, it was this exaggerated. The Paramount Totem elite warriors had been tangled with the Golden Crow for a few dozen years. They knew the power of this evil beast too well. It could be said that they were being toyed with by the Golden Crow to the point of collapse. If it were possible, they only wanted to quit immediately. It was because the Golden Crow was too strange and unpredictable. Most likely, they would be the next one to fall. However, such a valiant Golden Crow did not even have the chance to struggle before Li Bai. He was killed in one move, and it seemed that he had not exerted all his strength. Li Bai looked down from above and arrived above the valley. As he chanted, suddenly he moved his arm and threw out 9 bursts of divine lights from his sleeves. Inside these 9 bursts of divine lights, there was powerful energy. Like 9 keys, they fell in 9 different directions. Whoosh! The 9 areas trembled with divine lights and formed a strange circular shape. It emitted waves of divine light ripples that kept dispersing. At this moment, the entire valley was filled with divine lights. A completely strange world appeared before everyone's eyes. A huge circular stone platform appeared as if it had emerged from the ground. On the circular stone platform, bursts of strange lights shot out from each hole. It emitted dense fog and appeared extremely strange. Li Bai shouted, "Elite warriors with the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate, get into position. Put your soaring Galaxia commanding plate into any hole to verify your identity." When the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate passed the verification of this circular stone platform, 150 primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate holders were enveloped by the lights of that circular stone platform. The brilliance of this circular stone platform was like a blooming lotus flower. A few petal-like curtains of light kept closing and wrapped those 150 elite warriors inside. With a solemn expression, Li Bai said with a serious tone, "Everyone, this journey will last for 4 months. I can tell you ahead of time that if you act according to your capabilities, I can make sure that you will not put your life in danger. Unless you are extremely unlucky, you will only lose your life. However, if you want to reap great rewards, you must have the spirit of adventure." Of course, the price of taking risks was the possibility of dying at any time. I won't give you any advice. I won't tell you to think of saving your own life as the best strategy, and I won't encourage you to seek riches and honor in the midst of danger. To be able to come here, I believe that you have already prepared yourselves mentally before you set off. I only have one piece of advice. Follow your heart and don't hesitate. Being decisive and resolute is the mentality that cultivators like us should have. Li Bai had analyzed the stakes clearly. As for how to deal with it would be up to each of them. The first batch of 150 powerhouses with beginner Galaxy tokens were sent directly into the god discarding maze by the divine light. Qin Wushuang remembered the situation when he entered the god discarding maze by mistake at the endless Eastern Sea. Before his departure, he also mentioned this situation to those elite warriors of the Qin clan and asked them to stay calm at all times. This time, the Qin clan had 2 advanced soaring Galaxia command plates, 2 intermediate soaring Galaxia command plates, and 4 primary soaring Galaxia command plates. It wasn't a small number. However, including Qin Shaotian, the Qin clan had 9 Supreme Dao elite warriors. They were Qin Wushuang, Qin Shaotian, Qin Yunran, Qin Chongyang, Qin Taichong, as well as Ji Huai, Ji Bo, Ji Song, and Ji Tong. However, Qin Shaotian already made it clear that he would give up this opportunity. In this case, 8 soaring Galaxia command plates would correspond to 8 people. The most crucial part was the ownership of the remaining advanced soaring Galaxia command plate. It appeared somewhat difficult to give it to Qin Yunran or Qin Taichung. Being a rising star, Qin Taichung was not as strong as Qin Yunran. However, he had enough potential and was a young man worth nurturing. Although he possessed the advanced soaring Galaxia command plate, with Qin Taichung's strength, it would be extremely dangerous to enter the god discarding maze after the 9th stage. However, everyone knew that regardless of Qin Yunran or Qin Taichung, they would need the care of Qin Wushuang, the head chief, or else it would be difficult for them to achieve anything. In the end, Qin Taichung carried out his style and respected his seniors. Qin Yunran acquired this advanced soaring Galaxia command plate. Naturally, Qin Wushuang did not interfere too much. Naturally, the 4 primary soaring Galaxia command plates were acquired by Ji Huai, Ji Bo, Ji Song, and Ji Tong. The 2 intermediate soaring Galaxia command plates were acquired by Qin Chongyang and Qin Taichung. Qin Wushuang arranged everything appropriately in each section. As for the final harvest, it would depend on each person's luck. There would be a year from the opening of this god discarding door. Naturally, those who did not have their turn would have to wait for 4 or 8 months. No one would object if they set up camp in the same place. This was the rule of leaving. Who would dare to be unconventional? When night fell, Qin Wushuang was meditating with closed eyes inside the tent. Li Bai already floated outside the tent and laughed. "Wushuang, are you resting?" When he saw his senior brother coming to visit, of course Qin Wushuang would not neglect him as he immediately went out to welcome him. "Haha, Wushuang, since you have the advanced soaring Galaxia command plate, it will be your turn in 8 months. There is nothing to do here. You can continue to train at the 7th loop. Just come back on time." Li Bai was reminding him kindly. Upon hearing Qin Wushuang mentioning that to the genuine supreme Tao stage, 1 day was equivalent to 100 days at the 7th loop. 8 months would be 800 months. It was equivalent to 60 or 70 years of time. Now, Qin Wushuang still had some questions in his mind. He laughed and said, "Senior brother, that golden crow is an immemorial divine beast, right? Since you killed it, it will not be resurrected this time, right?" This question made Li Bai feel extremely distressed. "Wushuang, the strangeness of this golden crow lies in its resurrection ability. Reasonably speaking, the owner of the graceful spiritual bow from the immemorial period, the great god, would not have given them the chance to resurrect when he killed them. In terms of the immemorial great god, he would not be less powerful than me, or even more powerful. He also had the graceful spiritual bow. How could he have given them the chance to resurrect? However, this golden crow was resurrected. I am very confused about this matter. Theoretically, it is impossible to resurrect when the body and soul are destroyed. Even the paramount great Luo cannot resurrect a life form that does not exist. For that golden crow from a moment ago, I am 100% sure that I already killed it. Its body and soul were destroyed. If it was resurrected, it would be a miracle." After Qin Wushuang heard this, he also felt confused. For such a strange matter, it was truly difficult to make a guess. He could only say with a bitter smile, perhaps 1 or 2 of the 10 immemorial golden crows did not die completely. It's not certain if they resurrected from the ashes. Li Bai gave a long sigh. For this, we can only take 1 step at a time. The golden crow is not the main point. The main point was how strong the hidden power behind the golden crow was. Whether it is truly led by the golden crow. "Senior brother, for the 3 people that were eliminated, are you sure they are spies from the foreign tribes?" It's impossible to be 100% sure. However, they are rather suspicious. With tens and thousands of years of inheritance, it's difficult to confirm some identities. This is also the most difficult part of the investigation. Qin Wushuang agreed. Now that the golden crow is dead, perhaps we have beat the grass and alerted the snake. Indeed, this golden crow is too smart for his own good. However, Li Bai laughed. The golden crow is not stupid. This time, he must have come with a purpose. He is here to confuse me. I am guessing that for sure there are suspects among the people with the soaring Galaxia commanding plate. I only eliminated those 3 to confuse people. Wushuang, this time I came to tell you that among the people with the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate, there are two guys. After you go in, if you have the chance, keep an eye on them. I already notified Wang Chan. He will also be in charge of keeping an eye on them. Now, for those paramount totem elite warriors, only Wang Chan and the Golden Ray Dragon King are at a higher stage. However, since the Golden Ray Dragon King is a beast from the endless Eastern Sea, I am not reassured. Therefore, I only told Wang Chan. As for the other few, they are too narrow-minded. We can't use them. When they enter the god-discarding maze, it's already commendable that they can keep a calm head and not get confused by the numerous treasures. Qin Wushuang laughed and did not speak a word. It would be inappropriate for him to comment on paramount totem elite warriors. After all, now these two had not reached the stage of paramount totem elite warriors. This is the list. Keep an eye on it. Li Bai handed over a list. If you have the chance, use the puppet technique to trap them and see if you can get some great information out of them. Qin Wushuang took it and glanced at it. Then he put it away. Li Bai laughed. The god-discarding door is also a game. Although those totem elite warriors are not of great use, I do hope that this time they can dig out all the secrets left behind by the ancestors. Regardless, it's a precious legacy left behind by the ancestors. It's also a trump card for the Tianxian land to fight against the foreign tribes. Qin Wushuang nodded. Yes, I only hope that everyone will have less disputes and more cooperation. If the Tianxian land always has internal strife, even if we can drive away that foreign tribe this time, it's hard to guarantee that there will not be new troubles next time. Yes, Wushuang, I will take charge of the matters here. Tell the Qin clan to seize the time and go to the 7th loop for solitary training. 8 months of time is enough for you to do many things. Don't forget, we don't have much time. Theoretically, the highest limit is 10,000 years. However, inside the god-discarding door, who can guarantee that nothing will happen? Once some internal problems occur, it's possible for the situation to change drastically. The god-discarding maze was a maze set up by the immemorial gods. It was also a place to seal the elite warriors of the foreign tribes. It was the immemorial battlefield. One could almost say that the god-discarding maze was a double-edged sword. If used well, the power of the Tianxian land would increase tremendously. However, once spies from the foreign tribes sneaked in and did something to the god-discarding maze, they would break the seal and release a few of their sealed elite warriors. Then trouble would follow. However, Li Bai and his friends had no other choice. Even if they knew that there were risks in this matter, they could not give up eating for fear of choking. Could it be that they would completely seal the god-discarding maze and wait for death because of the possibility of foreign tribes sneaking in? Clearly, this was not realistic. Therefore, they could only give it their all under the condition of ensuring the greatest safety. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 900. On the other hand, after Li Bai left, he returned to the mountain cave where he had set up camp. The heavenly mysterious 7 disciples were all present. Senior brother, did you tell junior brother? Qi Hingyu asked with a chuckle. Li Bai nodded. 5th, 6th, I asked you to keep an eye on those 3 eliminated spots. How is the situation now? For now, there are no abnormalities. However, senior brother, I don't understand one thing. Since you suspect them, why don't you find a reason to let their respective totem powerhouses kill them? If they stay, wouldn't it be trouble in the future? 5th, Huaxia was somewhat conflicted about this problem. He had always advocated killing decisively. Since they were the enemy, why not kill them? Li Bai laughed. 5th, it's easy to kill people. We can do it at any time. We don't have to use the totem powerhouses to make them misunderstand and think we're borrowing their knife to kill them. Those giants from the southern border and the eastern sea are not kind people. To put it bluntly, they are all thorns. Huaxia said angrily, we are not doing this for our own selfish reasons, but for the future of the Tianxian land. Since they are enjoying the honor of being the totem powerhouses, it's too much for them to not bear this bit of infamy. Among the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples, Huaxia was the one who hated evil with a passion. Huaxia had long been dissatisfied with the totem powerhouses who occupied their positions and did not do anything else. If it were his personality, he would have already deposed these people who occupied their positions without doing anything. However, of course, Li Bai had his own plans. It would be easy to depose the totem powerhouses. However, in the Tianxian land, besides the totem powerhouses, what other backup power could take the place? In the end, for the totem powerhouses, the monkey became king when there was no tiger in the mountain. At this moment, Li Yifeng chuckled. Fifth, don't be angry. To deal with the foreign tribes, it will be up to our junior brother. At that time, when we use thunderous methods, regardless of whether these totem powerhouses are obedient or not, they must resist for survival. Now, there's no need to criticize them. When it's time to beat them, I believe junior brother will not hold back. Even if you haven't seen his methods, you should have heard about it. Regarding those rumors about Qin Wushuang, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples were clear about them. He admired this little junior brother's methods and temperament very much. Xiao Yishuan also nodded and said, that's right. In any case, we're assisting little junior brother. It's not too good to overstep our boundaries at this time. Eldest senior brother revealed his divine ability today because he had no other choice. It wasn't our intention to reveal our strength. Xia also understood the situation. He gave a long sigh and said with some anger, I do wish to fight a great battle without restraint. It's uncomfortable to hold this breath in my chest. Li Bai said seriously, Fifth, you must understand, if the foreign tribes truly come in now, we will not have any chance of winning. Everyone nodded. The foreign tribes were a plane supported by a master god. They were much more powerful than the Tianxian land. All right, don't think too much about it. Didn't little junior brother say so? Master has left us other paths. Once the matter here is settled, we will have to go to other places to cultivate. Try to improve your strength as much as possible before the celestial river boundary array breaks. This was the same as setting the tone. Li Bai's words caused everyone to keep nodding. Yes, now we all have Master God weapons. Let's train hard and try to unleash the power of the Master God weapons. By that time, we will have a greater chance of winning. It's still the Master's generosity. If we only rely on the inheritance of the gods at the Tianxian land, I think it will be difficult to deal with the foreign tribes. At this moment, suddenly, Qi Hengyu laughed. Senior brother, those 3 disqualified guys are making strange movements. Since their communication jade plates were confiscated, they cannot send any messages. It seems they plan to leave early. Huaxia raised his brow and looked at Li Bai. Senior brother, should we take them out? Li Bai waved his hand. No need. Huaxia was confused. Could it be we are letting them go? Yes, let them go. Fifth, sixth, you two follow them. See where they are going and who they are contacting. Remember, do not beat the grass to scare the snake. Huaxia and Qi Hengyu understood tacitly as they answered at the same time. Okay. At the end of the endless eastern sea, beneath the rushing current valley, inside an underwater abyss that was a few thousand miles deep, a ball of flame from the deep sea rose with the temperament of a volcanic eruption. The surface of the entire rushing current valley was like a pot of boiling water as it kept rolling. The flame that was a few thousand miles deep had caused the water on the surface of the rushing current valley to boil. It was enough to see how terrifying the energy contained in this ball of flame was. This ball of flame was extremely red and close to golden light. Inside this flame, there was a gigantic demonic beast. It was another golden crow. The head of this golden crow was the size of a small hill. The ball of flame that it bathed in reached a height of tens of thousands of meters and displayed a majestic temperament. Roar! This golden crow let out a muffled, angry roar. Next, it let out 2 gurgling sounds from its throat. Immediately after, another sharp whistle sounded. This sharp whistle was especially ear-piercing, as if it was the sound of sharp metal scraping against each other. It was so sharp that it could almost pierce one's divine soul. Fortunately, there were no martial artists within a few hundred miles. Or else, under such powerful pressure, they would have died on the spot. Following the sharp whistle, the feathers on the entire body of the golden crow became sparse one by one. This bathed flame was the flame of training, and at the same time, it was the flame of anger. Darn it, darn it! Another one of my children has been killed. This golden crow could not help but let out a low growl. His voice was close to madness. Regardless of who did this, I want you to die, you must die. Beneath the gigantic flame of this golden crow, there were 8 young golden crows. It seemed that they had just been born not long ago. However, the golden crows reproduced at an extremely fast speed, and they grew at an astonishing speed. As soon as they were born, they possessed the power of the transformation supreme Tao stage. The most monstrous thing was that their evolution speed was unimaginable by human martial artists. In a few dozen years, they could evolve to the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage. Children, one after another, your brothers were killed by this group of lowly martial artists from the Tianxian land. Tell me, what should we do? That gigantic golden crow asked with a muffled voice. Kill them, kill them. Those 8 young golden crows responded with an evil and tender voice. That gigantic golden crow emitted bursts of eerie laughter. That's right, we must kill them, kill them. Could it be that broken bow and arrow was the one that killed my 10th child? Mother, just what is going on with that bow and arrow? Humph. Clearly, that gigantic golden crow was unwilling to mention it. Although that bow and arrow is powerful, there should not be any elite warriors at the heavenly supreme Tao stage in the Tianxian land. Your 10th brother was already at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage. How could he have been killed? There must be a problem. Initially, this golden crow was the queen mother of the golden crow. In the immemorial period, after she was pregnant, she received orders to come to the Tianxian land. She found the rushing current valley as a base and laid 18 golden crow eggs after 100 years of silence. With the power of this queen mother, she could not hatch all 18 eggs at once. She could only hatch them in batches. Unexpectedly, after 100 years of training, 9 of the 10 eggs in the first batch entered the second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage and started to cause havoc at the Tianxian land. The 10th one was just killed by Li Bai. Since it had not finished its evolution, it only went out to wreak havoc a few dozen years ago when the limelight had died down. Unexpectedly, it was killed by Li Bai. Of course, this startled the queen mother. In a fit of anger, the queen mother hatched the remaining 8 golden crows together. In terms of strength, this queen mother was at the 3rd calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. She was incredibly powerful. When she received orders to infiltrate the Tianxian land, she cooperated with the enemy from the inside. Naturally, she had some other trump cards. Therefore, the queen mother had always been incredibly confident. Who would have thought that all 10 of his children would be killed by someone? This had completely infuriated this queen mother. Zhan Yu, Duan Shui, get your ass here. The queen mother moved her spiritual perception and immediately sent out her spiritual perception to summon her 2 most capable assistants. These 2 most capable assistants were also the true masterminds of the mysterious organization that Li Bai and his friends had guessed. Regardless of any aspect, they were extremely outstanding. They were the 2 great strategists of the foreign clans and only listened to the orders of the Golden Crow. They were in charge of connecting all major spies. Naturally, those 2 guys also used the rushing current valley as their base. When they heard the summons from the Queen Mother, they were greatly astonished. Queen Mother is awake? They did not dare to neglect and rushed over at full speed. When they saw the Queen Mother's imposing manner from afar, they felt restless. Fortunately, their strength was at the heavenly supreme Tao stage. They were also the only 2 heavenly supreme Tao elite warriors that came with the Queen Mother. Under the Queen Mother's imposing manner, they could barely resist it. They knelt from afar. Zhan Yu, Duan Shui, it's a pleasure to meet you, Queen Mother. The Queen Mother said coldly, get your ass here. Those 2 did not show the slightest displeasure. Instead, they only showed endless fear as they approached quickly. Your Majesty, is there any news of the 10th prince? The Queen Mother asked with burning anger. The 10th prince went to the opening of the god-discarding door and covered our spies to enter the door. Your Majesty, bastard, don't you know how to stop him? Fury gushed out from the eyes of the Queen Mother. Are you letting him go to his death? The 10th prince is dead. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui exchanged a glance, and a trace of fear emerged from their eyes. They were not afraid of the elite warriors of the Tianxian land, but the fiendish eyes of the Queen Mother. Most likely, if they did not deal with it well, they would suffer greatly. Zhan Yu said while stuttering. Mother Empress, those paramount elite warriors of the Tianxian land have fought with the 10th prince for such a long time. They have always been defeated by the 10th prince. How could they have killed him? Yes, Queen Mother, in the current Tianxian land, no one could defeat the 10th prince. The Queen Mother said coldly. According to your words, if the Tianxian land cannot even defeat the 10th prince, wouldn't we be able to unleash a massacre? Why would we need to endure for so long? Zhan Yu and Duan Shui were speechless and felt extremely depressed. Inwardly, they thought, it's not like you don't know the temper of the 10th prince. If he wants to go, can we stop him? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 901. However, Queen Mother Golden Crow would not reason with you. You can either be obedient and lower your head. Perhaps you can escape a round of physical pain. If you contradicted her and angered her, it was possible that she would kill you on the spot. Fortunately, Queen Mother Golden Crow still restrained herself. Although she was furious, she did not make a move against these two. She also knew the temperament of her child. Finally, Queen Mother Golden Crow did not forget her duty of infiltrating the Tianxian land. She suppressed her anger and said, Tell me, what is the current situation? When those two saw Queen Mother's anger subside, the giant stone in their heart was slowly put down. They exchanged a glance, and that Zhan Yu said, Queen Mother, after tens and thousands of years of accumulation, our powerhouses in the Tianxian land have already taken root in all the forbidden spiritual zones. We have acquired legal identities. Perhaps some of them still have some problems, but a few of them have absolutely no flaws. How many people do we have? Queen Mother, when we came, there were 108 of them. For tens and thousands of years, a portion of them have met with misfortune. Now there are about 60 of them left. They are all extremely stable and possess extraordinary strength. Besides those who are hiding in each sect, there are 50 more. They can come at any time and fight when they are summoned. Once a battle erupts, our powerhouses are enough to fight against the 5 forbidden spiritual zones. It was enough to fight against the 5 forbidden spiritual zones. Such confidence made the expression of Queen Mother Golden Crow soothe a little. She nodded. After tens and thousands of years of training, 60 of the remaining 108 have a rather high survival rate. After tens and thousands of years, the weakest one must have trained to the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Most of them should be at the genuine Supreme Tao stage, right? Yes, there are only a dozen of them at the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. This is also the strategy of the higher-ups. There must be some with mediocre potential. Or else, each of them would be powerful and it would be difficult to arrange identities. The remaining ones are all at the genuine Supreme Tao stage. They range from the first calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage to the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Adding up their numbers, they definitely have more than the totem elite warriors of the 6 totem clans. Considering that each forbidden spiritual zone still have some non-totem genuine Supreme Tao elite warriors, the strength of our elite warriors is enough to fight against the 5 forbidden spiritual zones. When Zhan Yu said this, he was very confident. Duan Shui, who was at the side, chimed in. That's right. Moreover, we still have Her Majesty Mother Empress and the 8 young highnesses. In time, we can fight our way out from the inside and shatter the astral river barrier. This Tianxian land is the meat in the pot of our Fengyun mainland. The Golden Crow Queen Mother was not overly optimistic. She waved her hand and said, "Don't be too pleased with yourself. I can tell you that in this Tianxian land, for sure there are elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Or else, it would be strange if the Tianxian land had remained peaceful until now." In fact, Zhan Yu and Duan Shui also had this guess. However, since the Queen Mother didn't mention it, they didn't dare to bring it up either. Hearing Queen Mother Golden Crow's words, Zhan Yu also nodded. "I reckon that the controller of the god, discarding door, should be a Heavenly Supreme Tao elite. Otherwise, how could he command those totem sovereign forces?" Queen Mother snorted coldly and said, "Haven't you always been proud of your intelligence? Why do you think I've been holding back for tens of thousands of years? If I didn't want to probe how many Heavenly Supreme Tao warriors are hiding in the dark, I would have already gone out." "Queen Mother, you are wise." He kept flattering her, but he must do it. It's hateful that the Heavenly Supreme Tao warriors of the Tianxian land are extremely cunning. Those totem sovereign elite warriors are incomparable to them. If the Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors were as useless as the totem sovereign elite warriors, the Tianxian land would have already been in our hands. For tens and thousands of years, these Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors did not show themselves. According to my speculation, there are at least 2 to 4 of them. Someone is controlling the god discarding door, and someone is observing the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Unfortunately, in the end, they did not show themselves. Even when my son beat the 6 totem sovereign elite warriors to a sorry state, he could still hold himself back. Such self-restraint is a figure that will achieve great things. We must not underestimate the enemy. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui were apprehensive. They were also elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Upon hearing that there were so many Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors at the Tianxian land, of course they felt somewhat uncomfortable. I did not barge into that god discarding door. Firstly, I am worried about Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors. Secondly, I am afraid of entering the god discarding door by mistake. I'm not familiar with the terrain and would fall into a trap. Therefore, someone must go and explore the path. The more information we gather, the easier it will be for me to step out. Of course, it would be even better if the spies we sent out could succeed. Zhan Yu gave a long sigh. So Queen Mother still has so many plans. I am ignorant for not knowing your plans. Queen Mother Golden Crow said coldly, "I have endured for tens and thousands of years. I have endured all the anger I should." Regardless of the result of this god discarding door, we must launch a counterattack and strive to break the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Queen Mother, since you have waited for tens and thousands of years, why are you launching a counterattack now? Zhan Yu and Duan Shui were both confused. They were in the territory of the Tianxian land, and they had Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors. Wouldn't it be unwise to launch a counterattack? After all, this was someone else's territory. Humph! In the past, I did not counterattack because I had a weapon that I did not refine. Now, after tens and thousands of years, I have already refined a part of the power of this weapon. With this weapon in hand, I can instantly kill elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage at the same level. To challenge an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage 2 levels above me, it's enough for me to be in an invincible position. With you two as my left and right arms, and 50 or 60 genuine Supreme Tao elite warriors, even if I cannot win at the Tianxian land, I can guarantee an invincible position. Regardless of whether we can break the soaring of Galaxia barrier or not, we must keep attacking the Tianxian land. Just in case they brought out some good stuff from the god discarding door, we must not give them time to refine it. For the next few thousand years, we must win with all our efforts. Even if we cannot win, we must not let them rest. We must keep harassing them at all times. To put it bluntly, such strategy could only be described in one word: restraint. If they could win, they would fight. If they cannot win, they would restrain the Tianxian land. They would not allow the martial artists of the Tianxian land to devote themselves to training. Zhang Yu and Duan Shui exchanged a glance and revealed an excited expression. What kind of weapon was it that could challenge an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage 2 levels above him? The answer was clear, a Master God weapon. With the power of the third calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, Queen Mother possessed a Master God weapon. Congratulations, Queen Mother, for refining the Master God weapon, Zhang Yu said with great joy. Congratulations. With the Master God weapon, you will be invincible at the Tianxian land. Haha. Duan Shui was also extremely excited. In their opinion, with the Master God weapon, it was enough for them to sweep across the Tianxian land. If the Tianxian land had the power to resist the Master God weapon, they would not have lost so miserably a few tens of thousands of years ago. They would not have needed to use the divine souls of the gods to seal the soaring of Galaxia barrier. Without a doubt, the Tianxian land did not have a Master God. According to their investigation, the Tianxian land did not even have a 6th calamity Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. The strongest elite warrior was only at the 5th calamity Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. After the calamity of the apocalypse, all the Heavenly Supreme Tao warriors of the Tianxian land met with misfortune. Although there were a few survivors, they were definitely not the strongest. Before Queen Mother, who possessed the Master God weapon, how could they resist? It was no wonder why Queen Mother was so confident. Queen Mother had a well-thought-out plan. Queen Mother Golden Crow revealed a slight smile. Refine the Master God weapon? Easier said than done. At most, I can only unleash 20 to 30% of the power of a Master God weapon. If I could unleash 50%, it would not be a problem to kill a 5th calamity Heavenly Supreme Tao warrior. Haha, 20 to 30% is more than enough to deal with those rascals at the Tianxian land. If those guys can bring good news, it would be even better. Duan Shui gave a light sigh. Queen Mother, this time we sent out a total of 6 spies. As long as one of them can sneak in, certainly there will be good news. What do you think the probability is that they will not be noticed? I dare say that for these 6 guys, at least 1 or 2 will not be discovered. For those idiots at the Tianxian land, Humph, I don't believe they can dig all of them out. At this moment, suddenly there was a burst of movement from Zhang Yu's communication jade plate. HM? Queen Mother, there is news along the way. 3 of those 6 guys have returned. 3 returned. Duan Shui was overjoyed when he heard this. Doesn't that mean 3 of them have already sneaked in? This is a good thing, haha. Queen Mother Golden Crow gave a cold sneer. Is it a good thing? Queen Mother, we sent 6, and only 3 came back. The remaining 3 must have already sneaked in. Isn't this a great thing? It's a great thing to be able to sneak in. However, don't you feel that this matter is somewhat bizarre? Since these 3 fellows have been eliminated, they should have been monitored or even killed. How could they come back swaggeringly? Instantly, those 2 guys were stunned. Queen Mother's words had woken them up from their dreams. That's right. Since they were discovered, would the Tianxian land let them come back? What did this mean? It meant that they let them come back on purpose. They let these 3 bait to catch the big fish. Queen Mother, what should we do? Queen Mother Golden Crow said lightly, What is the usual strategy? Usual strategy? Zhang Yu stammered and raised his head with astonishment. Queen Mother, what do you mean? He made a chopping motion with one hand. Queen Mother Golden Crow said with a cold tone, Could it be you want to spoil the entire plan because of the exposure of a few? Whoever gets exposed will die. This is our fate. Zhang Yu and Duan Shui drew a breath of cold air. Before they spoke, the expression of Queen Mother suddenly changed. She swore while gritting her teeth, Idiots, 3 idiots, they lured the enemy to the rushing current valley. Instantly, the expression of Zhang Yu and Duan Shui changed drastically. Enemy? Queen Mother, what kind of enemy? Queen Mother Golden Crow flapped her wings and instructed with a cold expression. You 2 stay here and take care of them. I will go personally. The person that came is not ordinary. Since the Queen Mother had stepped out, one could imagine how powerful this enemy was. Could it be an elite warrior of the heavenly supreme Tao stage had arrived? To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please log on to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 902. After Queen Mother Golden Crow finished her instructions, she transformed into a burst of red meteoric light to dash towards the water's surface with a roll of flames. Suddenly, Zhan Yu gathered his courage and said, "Your Majesty, I have something to say." Queen Mother Golden Crow said with a cold sneer, "Wait for me to come back. Your Majesty, it will be too late when you come back. When you go, you will either declare a full-scale war, or please do not beat the grass to scare the snake. If you expose your identity, it's the same as us being completely exposed. Besides declaring war directly, we have no other choice." Inwardly, Queen Mother Golden Crow felt apprehensive as she felt these words made sense. If she were to take out the Master God weapon now, wouldn't it be the same as declaring war when she killed the enemy? At this moment, without the slightest preparation, once the battle started, even if she could kill an elite warrior of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, most likely the gains would not make up for the losses. Not to mention, it was still unknown whether she could kill a heavenly supreme Tao stage warrior. After all, for tens and thousands of years, Queen Mother Golden Crow had not fought with anyone. As soon as the battle started, she might not be able to enter the state quickly to kill the enemy. However, if she did not go personally and let them go around the endless Eastern Sea, it would be the same as going straight to the rushing Current Valley. If the headquarters of the rushing Current Valley was exposed, she also felt it would not be a good thing. After some consideration, Queen Mother gritted her teeth and said ruthlessly, "If we let them find the rushing Current Valley, it will be even more troublesome. Why don't we just kill them on the way and let them die without anyone knowing?" "Your Majesty," Zhan Yu and Duan Shui still wanted to persuade her, but the figure of Queen Mother Golden Crow had already disappeared without a trace. On the other hand, Hua Xie and Qi Hingyu followed those three guys all the way. Unknowingly, they arrived at the endless Eastern Sea. "Fifth brother, look, for these three guys, 2 are from the southern border and 1 is from the Eastern Sea. Why did these 3 go to the Eastern Sea at the same time?" Qi Hingyu said with a laugh. Although Hua Xie had a cold personality, he was not without the slightest analytical ability. He nodded. "This way, it's not without reason that senior brother pulled them out. Yes, if they truly have an organization behind them, I think their stronghold is at the endless Eastern Sea. Now, the only question is whether the master behind them is as simple as the Golden Crow. If it's the Golden Crow, then it's easy. If it's not the Golden Crow, the problem is even more complicated." Hua Xie said coldly, "Sixth, let's follow these 3 and see where they are going. In the worst case, I will go to the rushing Current Valley of the endless Eastern Sea to see what's going on. I will see just what kind of sinister tricks the old nest of the Golden Crow has, and why the Golden Crow was resurrected." Qi Hingyu hurriedly said, "Fifth brother, you can't do that. Eldest senior apprentice brother instructed us not to act rashly and alert the enemy. If we rashly charge into the rushing Current Valley, I'm afraid we'll mess up the important matter." "What major matter can it cause?" Hua Xie twisted his brow. "Sixth, are you scared?" Qi Hingyu had always been a nice guy. Although Hua Xie's question was somewhat impolite, he did not get annoyed. Instead, he said patiently, "Fifth brother, us 7 brothers have held fast for tens and thousands of years. Do you think I'm a person that is afraid of trouble?" Hua Xie also seemed to feel that he had gone too far with his words. "Sixth, I think we cannot continue to be passive. We should take the initiative to attack." "Fifth elder brother, first elder brother." Before Qi Hingyu finished his words, he immediately stopped as his face slightly changed. "Fifth elder brother, did you feel that?" At the same time, Hua Xie also frowned slightly. Clearly, he also sensed a trace of abnormality. These 2 were elite warriors at the second calamity of the heavenly supreme Tao stage, at the Tian Xian land. Even if it was a few tens of thousands of miles away, they could sense it. Such powerful pressure. A trace of astonishment slid across Chi Hungyu's white and handsome face. Fifth elder brother, this is clearly the pressure of the heavenly supreme Tao stage. Hua Xie nodded slowly, and a trace of joyful smile spilled from the corner of his mouth. Isn't it great to be at the heavenly supreme Tao stage? We have suppressed ourselves for tens and thousands of years. These scum of the foreign clans have hidden themselves so deeply. Now they're willing to come out. It's exactly what we want. Sixth, you hold the line for me. I will go meet this elite warrior. After a moment of thinking, Chi Hingyu nodded. Fifth elder brother, you must be careful. This enemy came from the direction of the rushing current valley. Although he is tens and thousands of miles away, he is incredibly powerful. Don't be reckless. Hua Xie let out a cold sneer and revealed a confident smile on his handsome face. Sixth, don't worry. With us two brothers together, one in the light and one in the dark, regardless of how powerful the enemy is, he will not gain any advantage. Such confidence originated from his powerful strength and the Master God weapon he acquired recently. Although he did not refine much of the power of the Master God weapon, with the weapon in hand, it would definitely be a great help in crucial moments. Chi Hingyu nodded. Fifth elder brother, don't underestimate the enemy. The heavenly mysterious 7 disciples all had their own rules to follow. When encountering such situation, it would not be as effective as one in the light and one in the dark. Chi Hungyu used his great divine skill to conceal himself and observe the enemy in the dark. On the contrary, he would receive a miraculous effect. Carrying the Alcade sword on his back, Hua Xie advanced courageously. He transformed into a long rainbow and sped towards the east. This Alcade sword was the Master God weapon bestowed to him by his teacher through junior brother Qin Wushuang. It was completely compatible with his training path. Naturally, the Master God weapon acquired by the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples had one advantage over others. It was a high degree of compatibility. It was much easier to refine than others. The 7 Master God weapons bestowed by Li Xianfeng were all refined by Li Xianfeng. The heavenly mysterious 7 disciples were created through Li Xuanfeng's divine power. Therefore, their divine skills and the refining power of this Master God weapon were of the same origin. Since they were of the same origin, the difficulty of merging and refining was 100 times better than acquiring an unfamiliar Master God weapon. Therefore, although they had acquired it for a short time, they could unleash 20 to 30% of its power as soon as they got it. In the future, it would not be a problem for them to unleash 50% or more of its power. Of course, to unleash 100% of its power, certainly it would be impossible before they reached the Master God stage. Fortunately, they had been training hard for tens and thousands of years. Although they could not achieve a breakthrough due to the rules of the Tianxian land and the soaring of Galaxia barrier being sealed, the foundation accumulated in their body was not lost. When the soaring of Galaxia barrier was broken, or when they left the plane of the Tianxian land, of course their strength would achieve a breakthrough. Most likely, they would break through their current stage and advance to the next level. That would be highly possible. Suddenly, Hua Xie's handsome figure stopped. With a profound gaze, he shot to the east. A ball of soaring flame had burned the entire horizon red and pressed down on their faces. Such imposing manner seemed as if a giant hole had appeared in the sky, and a rain of fire poured down from the sky. The tremendous temperament was like a giant wave surging over 100,000 meters. Suddenly, the 3 martial artists that were running away at high speed let out a miserable cry. Next, 3 figures exploded at the same time and scattered into balls of shattered flames. Not even their bones remained. When they fell onto the surface of the eastern sea, they could not stir up a single ripple. Hua Xie's pupil shrunk slightly as he said with a cold voice, "What birdman?" The word birdman was the word that the Golden Crow clan feared the most. As soon as Queen Mother Golden Crow heard the word birdman, her anger rushed to the peak. The 100,000-meter tall flame was even more imposing than the giant mountain. Wherever this ball of flame went, the surface of the eastern sea kept boiling. The splashing of the boiling water also scuttled up to a few hundred meters high. Like devastating flood dragons, they kept crashing onto the surface of the water. When Huaxia saw such momentum, he was also greatly astonished. "Where did this kid come from? Tell me your name." Queen Mother Golden Crow asked with her sharp voice. "You are a birdman that is neither a human nor a ghost. Are you worthy to ask for my name? You are only a surviving member of the Golden Crow clan. I came here to take your bird head." Huaxia's sword skills were vicious. His mouth was also vicious. The Golden Crow was an elite warrior with a narrow mind who could not bear to hear such words. Upon hearing these sarcastic words, her feathers stood up one by one. "Immature kid, such arrogant tone." Sneering coldly, Huaxia said proudly, "That Golden Crow that caused trouble at the god discarding door was your partner, right? When he just arrived, he was also arrogant. What happened to him? Not even his bones remained." As soon as Queen Mother Golden Crow heard these words, instantly an astonishing murderous intention shot out from her fierce eyes. Giving a long whistle, she cried with grief, "Good, good, good. My son was indeed killed by you? Then give me your life." She flapped her wings and transformed them into two arms shining with golden lights. With a flash of her head, she transformed into a human head. She still had that hooked nose and ruthless eyes that shot out golden lights. As she shook her arms, the golden lights from her entire body transformed into tens and thousands of golden needles. Like flying swords that filled the sky, they pierced over densely with powerful heavenly supreme Tao presence. This situation was even more violent than that of the violent storm. It was as if between the heaven and earth, these tens and thousands of flying sword-like golden needles would pierce through. As soon as an elite warrior made a move, one would know whether they were real or not. Before Huaxia saw this Queen Mother Golden Crow, inwardly, he was already somewhat cautious. After he saw her, he was even more astonished by the power of this Golden Crow. When that irrepressible aura erupted, it made Huaxia feel the difference between them like an erupting volcano. When he saw such a fierce attack, how could Huaxia dare to neglect it? Withdrawing the lights from his entire body, like the splendor of the moon, he transformed into a burst of gentle wave. Drifting away, he transformed into the sky and did not resist the sharp edge. When Queen Mother Golden Crow saw Huaxia evade her full power attack, she let out a continuous eerie laugh. "You pretty boy, indeed you are at the heavenly supreme Tao stage. You have hidden it well." Amidst her eerie laughter, Queen Mother Golden Crow grabbed with her arms, and a gigantic halberd appeared between her hands. Around the halberd, bursts of purple dragon-like lightning flashed explosively. As it interweaved and shone, it was breathtaking. This halberd was born with the characteristics of thunder and lightning. It was a powerful attribute outside of the 5 basic attributes. The attack of this thunder and lightning attribute would amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. The power of thunder and lightning was the power of the heavens since ancient times. The power of the heavens was unpredictable. The power of thunder and lightning was even more unpredictable. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chijian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 903. Transforming into the moonlight. Huaxia floated in the sky like gentle water ripples. When he saw the halberd in the hands of Queen Mother Golden Crow from afar, his mind tightened. Master God weapon. Huaxia never expected that this Golden Crow had a Master God weapon. This endless eastern sea was truly strange. One after another, Golden Crows kept popping out as if they would never die. Each one was more terrifying than the other. The one before him possessed a Master God weapon. Huaxia gave a cold sneer and thought, "You have a Master God weapon. Could it be I don't?" When the flowing light stopped, Huaxia dropped 3,000 meters away. He shook his shoulder, and the power of the moonlight drove the Alcade sword out of the sheath. This Alcade sword was ever-changing, Carrying a ball of surging sword chi, like a dazzling rainbow, it pierced through and dashed at the face of the Golden Crow. The Golden Crow gave a cold sneer. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Flicking the halberd casually, 4 or 5 bursts of electric lights shot at the Alcade sword. For these 4 or 5 bursts of electric lights, there were cyan, purple, green, and brown lights. Extremely strange, they interweaved into a ball of electric net to form a wicker basket-sized electric ball. Accumulating into an attack wave, they rumbled over directly. Instantly, there was a burst of violent shaking in the heavens and earth. The cracks in the sky, torn open by these 2 bursts of power, emitted bursts of piercing, cracking sounds. The sound of mottled air currents rubbing against each other was even more ear-piercing. Countless lights clashed together in the sky and exploded into a giant ball of light. Countless air currents intertwined together. The colorful air currents had completely congealed into a giant wave of light. It ascended slowly and dashed to the sky at a rapid speed. For such power, even the Golden Crow was dumbstruck. How could it be like this? He was using a master god weapon, yet it did not smash that sword into pieces. On the contrary, it was blocked by the air currents shot from the sword. When 2 tigers fought and met on a narrow path, no one could do anything to the other. With such a deadlock, it formed a dazzling shockwave that soared to the sky. This powerful shockwave streaked across the sky, and the traces it left behind were too horrible to look at. The miserable cracks in the sky were like a field plowed by countless oxen. It was a mess and extremely messy. Huaxia waved his hand from afar and pulled that Alcade sword into his hand. The attack just now was on par with the Golden Crow, but he was not excited at all. His sword move just now was a trick move, borrowing the power of the unsheathed sword to form an attack. Although its momentum was not very strong, its power was very domineering. As for the Golden Crow, it was just a casual swipe. It was obvious that it had underestimated its opponent. Yet, they were unable to gain the upper hand in such a confrontation. What did that prove? This proved that the Golden Crow's strength was indeed above his. A strange light flashed in the Golden Crow's eyes as it suddenly laughed. Ha ha, good. Look at you. You're actually using a sovereign artifact. This was really like hitting a pillow when one was sleepy. Leave the sovereign artifact behind. The heavenly halberd swept out, and the entire heavenly halberd immediately turned into a poisonous dragon. Countless electric snakes pounced out from the heavenly halberd, bearing their fangs and claws as they charged forward. The Golden Crow's figure was activated, and it was already pressing over. The attack range of the halberd was truly terrifying. A giant electric net that filled the sky rolled over with the imposing manner to sweep across the heavens and earth. Pretty boy, leave the sovereign artifact behind and die. With an evil grin, the Golden Crow already pressed over with its giant body. As it waved the heavenly halberd in all directions, it kept attracting powerful electric currents. Each of them were as thick as giant dragons. With a speed that swept across 10,000 miles, it kept attacking. Huaxia was also exceptional. Under such pressure, the Alcade sword circled above his head and kept jumping like a giant silver carp. Each time it jumped, it shot out a burst of moonlight power. Like a mirror hanging high in the sky, it shot in all directions. When this moonlight shot out, it went directly to those electric currents and collided in the sky. Although it was strenuous, it was just enough to resist it. The secret starry technique Huaxia practiced was the moon shadow sword technique. It was a divine sword technique that pursued the extreme speed. Now, when he performed it, as this moonlight was activated, it seemed like a giant whirlpool above his head. It kept spinning and formed a powerful defensive whirlpool to sweep away those electric lights that kept bombarding him. The Golden Crow was slightly surprised. Such a pretty boy. Under such attack, he could still be this calm. It did make the Golden Crow feel incredibly astonished. With continuous sharp whistles, the Golden Crow shouted coldly, "I want to see how much skill you have." Raising the heavenly halberd high into the sky, the Golden Crow chanted, "The sky is dark and the earth is yellow. The universe is primitive and desolate. I beg my master, worship my greedy wolf. Die for me. Immediately, the tip of the heavenly halberd attracted a ball of giant purple light. It was like a ball of condensed nebula and appeared incredibly strange. Surrounding that nebula, there were dancing electric lights like dragons and snakes that appeared extremely devilish. Queen Mother Golden Crow gave an evil grin. Pretty boy, go die. As soon as the power of this nebula was attracted, Hua Xia's expression changed slightly. Secret starry technique. Queen Mother Golden Crow laughed madly. Have a taste of my nebula electric dance. With a flash, the heavenly halberd was about to smash down. Almost at the same time, suddenly, the pupils of the Golden Crow shrank rapidly. From his right side, suddenly, a burst of white light shot at him like a divine arrow piercing through the sky with the imposing manner to shatter the sky. Inside this white light, there were 13 short blades. Flashing with strange white lights, they shot at his ribs. The timing was extremely accurate. If Queen Mother Golden Crow unleashed this attack, the power would definitely be at the level of swallowing the sky and devouring the earth. However, although the attack brought by this burst of white light appeared small and delicate, its attack power was extremely astonishing. If the Golden Crow did not evade, his protective golden light would definitely be broken and his stomach would be cut open on the spot. Darn it! With a low growl, the Golden Crow swung his arms and shot towards the sky. He evaded that white light like a waterfall. Go! With a low growl, the white light disappeared all of a sudden and transformed into a ball of smoke. Together with Hua Xia, they escaped through the sky and disappeared into the boundless horizon. This change of events happened too fast. Before the Golden Crow could react, he saw a ball of smoke disappearing into the distance without a trace. Holding the heavenly halberd, the Golden Crow's eyes flashed with fury. Darn it, truly darn it, he has a companion. That guy that sneakily attacked me, is that pretty boy's companion? Did he use a Master God weapon? Caught off guard, he did not even know the strength of the other party. Queen Mother Golden Crow gritted her teeth and glared at the direction where Hua Xia disappeared. Yet, a cloud of doubt flashed across her mind. Clearly, that pretty boy is at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Indeed, there are elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage in this Tianxian land. Darn it! Since Queen Mother Golden Crow had verified her guess, she was not fearful. Clearly, that pretty boy is weaker than me. That one that sneakily attacked me would not be stronger than me. Or else, they would not have evaded and not dare to fight me head-on. Could it be these two guys are the controllers of the god discarding door? With Queen Mother Golden Crow's violent personality, it would be right to chase after them directly. However, considering the problems at the rear, Queen Mother Golden Crow suppressed her anger forcefully and returned to her home base at the rushing Current Valley. When Zhan Yu and Duan Shui saw the return of Queen Mother, they immediately went up to greet her. Queen Mother, who are they? Queen Mother Golden Crow's expression was indeterminate as she said with a low voice, "They are all elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage." Instantly, the expression of those two changed drastically. Elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Indeed, they are elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Queen Mother Golden Crow gave a snort. None of them are my opponents. I beat them away. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui let out a sigh of relief. Queen Mother, are these guys strong? To be able to escape from Her Majesty the Mother Empress, your strength is not bad. Zhan Yu probed. Their strength is about the same as you guys. They are probably at the second calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. However, when you meet them, you must not linger in battle. You must escape immediately. Why? When those two heard they were at the second calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, they felt much more relaxed. One of them has a Master God weapon. For the other one, I don't know what weapon he is using, but it must be a weapon at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. I'm not sure if it is a Master God weapon. They have a Master God weapon. Zhan Yu and Duan Shui exchanged a glance, and saw a trace of deep restraining fear from each other's eyes. They came from the Weathering Land, a plane with elite warriors at the Master God level. They knew how rare a Master God weapon was. It was not strange for an experienced Master God to have one or two Master God weapons. Some Master Gods who had just advanced into the Master God level did not even have a single Master God weapon. And the elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage of this Tianxian land had Master God weapons. That's not right. Zhang Yu raised his suspicion. Queen Mother, if the Tianxian land had a Master God weapon, they would not have been in such an embarrassing situation. In that immemorial battle, no Master God weapon appeared. What is going on? Queen Mother Golden Crow was also full of doubts. This Tianxian land must be somewhat strange. Where did this sovereign artifact come from? He had to investigate it thoroughly. However, this is good. With a Master God weapon, it proves that us two Master Gods have set our eyes on this Tianxian land. If we can get an extra Master God weapon and present it to Master God Wind and Cloud, our contribution will be greater. Zhang Yu and Duan Shui smiled apologetically, yet inwardly, they were feeling nervous. Honestly, when facing an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage with a Master God weapon, they did not dare to be optimistic. Indeed, this Master God weapon was a great thing. However, in the hands of an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, they could not take it. To put it bluntly, if they were to encounter an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage with a Master God weapon, there was only one path, and that was to run away. Besides running away, they had no other choice. Queen Mother, then what should we do next? Queen Mother Golden Crow took a deep breath and squeezed out a word from the gap of her teeth. Wait. Currently, it seemed they could only wait for the god discarding door to end. Zhang Yu, didn't you say that we sent out 6 spies? This time, only 3 escaped. Let's see what happened to the other 3. Yes. The current situation was still unclear. It seemed they could only wait until the end of the god discarding door. If they could gain something and rescue the Heavenly Supreme Tao elite warriors that were still alive from the seal, the situation would be greatly advantageous to them. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 904. In a mountain valley outside the god discarding door, the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples gathered again. The news of Hua Xie and Qi Hongyu's unfavorable start caused the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples to feel incredibly surprised. They gathered together to discuss countermeasures. Since Hua Xie had been fighting with Queen Mother Golden Crow, he could not see clearly and did not speak much. Qi Hongyu, who had been hiding in the dark, had seen everything clearly. He described the situation at that time in detail. Everyone revealed a grave expression as they listened. Li Bai said with a low voice, 5th, 6th, are you sure that was the Golden Crow? Senior brother, it's the Golden Crow without a doubt. However, compared to that Golden Crow, this one is much more powerful. Regardless of size or temperament, it has a burst of suppressive aggressiveness. It kept calling itself Mother and said that the Golden Crow that was killed by eldest senior brother was its child. Li Bai muttered, that's right, it must be so. That Golden Crow must be the Queen Mother. Queen Mother Golden Crow. Senior brother, what is the Queen Mother Golden Crow? Many of the beast clans have Queen Mother. Usually, the Queen Mother is the strongest warrior of a clan and the king. I understand now. The Golden Crow from the immemorial period and that Golden Crow from last time must be the Golden Crows bred by the Queen Mother. Li Bai realized the light. I was wondering how the Golden Crow could be resurrected. It seems it was not resurrected. Instead, it was a nest of golden crows that used the resurrection as a gimmick. His words had awakened the dreamer. The other 6 of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples all realized the light. Senior brother, it seems it's the case. Senior brother, that Queen Mother Golden Crow must be the leader of the hidden foreign clans. She has a Master God weapon. From the looks of it, the few of us are no match for it. Only you, eldest senior brother, can fight it. Li Bai's expression remained calm as he revealed a slight smile. Don't mind it too much. I feel it's better that this Queen Mother Golden Crow is exposed. In the past, we were always suspicious and did not know how many people were hiding behind the scenes. Now, with the exposure of this Queen Mother Golden Crow, they have already exposed their trump cards. Let's wait patiently. When the time is right, we will kill our way to the rushing current valley. There must be other golden crows in this golden crow's nest. We can't give them a chance to grow and wreak havoc. Senior brother, how long do we have to wait? Huaxia could not refrain from asking. After suffering a loss from Queen Mother Golden Crow, Huaxia was also full of anger. At least wait until the god discarding door is over. Old 5, don't be impatient. Although Queen Mother Golden Crow is powerful, under the rules of the Tianxian land, she will not have any breakthrough. This was the truth. No matter who it was, they were all the same under the rules. There was nothing special about it. No one would be able to make any breakthroughs. Below the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage, if you have enough potential, you can advance however you want. However, he could forget about breaking through to the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. There was no way he could break through to the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Since Li Bai had spoken, the others could not refute him. And the truth was that the best thing to do now was to wait. That Queen Mother, the Golden Crow, will not act rashly before the situation is clear. We are afraid of the Golden Crow, and it is also afraid of us. You have Master God weapons and are elite warriors at the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. This is enough for it to be suspicious for a while. Li Bai was rather calm. At the crucial moment, he revealed the temperament of a boss. He said, even if it comes to make a racket with the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples here, it will be asking for trouble. Yes, senior brother will restrain it. With us helping from the outside, it will be strange if we don't crush it. Li Yifeng laughed. 7 master god weapons. If the Golden Crow knows, it will certainly pee its pants from fear. Ha ha. Third brother, it seems the Golden Crow doesn't wear pants, right? Miao Su rolled her eyes at Li Yifeng with endless flirtatiousness. When his lovely wife spoke, Li Yifeng smiled embarrassedly and immediately shut his mouth. All right, during this time, everyone be on high alert. Don't let that Golden Crow have any opportunities, Li Bai said in the end. On the other hand, inside the 7th loop of the 7 deadly arrays formation, Qin Wushuang and Bao Bao were seizing every second to train with selflessness. They did not need anyone to protect them when training at this place. This 7th loop of the formation was the safest and most reliable place. It was impossible for outsiders to break in. This time, Qin Wushuang and his friends had 8 months. According to the ratio of 1 day being 100 days, 8 months would be 800 months. It was equivalent to 60 or 70 years. To Qin Wushuang, 60 or 70 years of training time was enough for many things to happen. Since he stepped onto the path of martial arts until now, the total time added up was less than 60 or 70 years. However, for the genuine Supreme Tao stage, the higher one went, the more difficult it would be. Although Qin Wushuang threw away all distracting thoughts and devoted himself, his progress was still neither fast nor slow. It was impossible for him to defy the natural order and travel 1,000 miles in one step. Fortunately, there was a benefit inside this formation. The source of the divine power was endless and inexhaustible. Regardless of how the two of them squandered it, the spiritual qi was always rich. While Qin Wushuang hammered his divine soul, he trained with the great 5 attributes reincarnation seal. For this divine skill, Qin Wushuang had already started to train the 4th profound stage. Currently, Qin Wushuang was progressing with the 5 attributes supreme Tao essence. Thus, it was much easier for him to train. He also gradually grasped the profound mysteries of the 4th stage. For Bao Bao, the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey had more or less played a role in this 7th loop. He had achieved continuous breakthroughs, especially for the yin-yang stretching rod. Under his continuous refinement, it had merged completely and unleashed 100% of its power. This yin-yang stretching rod was a divine weapon at the sixth calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage. To Bao Bao, it was tailor-made for him. Even if he upgraded to the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage in the future, this yin-yang stretching rod would not be outdated. Unless one day, Bao Bao's aura soared to the Galaxia, or else, this yin-yang stretching rod would never be outdated. 8 months was not a short period of time. However, if they were to devote themselves to training, they only felt that these 8 months had passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Bao Bao waved the yin-yang stretching rod and roared in the great hall like a madman. He was incredibly excited. Of course, he had reason to be excited. In the outside world, 8 months was about 60 years. In the genuine Supreme Tao stage, he had upgraded 3 levels and directly broke into the 5th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Haha, boss. Try to take my rod. Bao Bao roared and waved the yin-yang stretching rod. Like a madman, he smashed it at Qin Wushuang. Golden lights erupted, and the entire sky was filled with Bao Bao's rod shadow. When he shot out tens and thousands of golden lights, the sound of rolling thunder was deafening. Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. Good. In these 8 months, although Qin Wushuang was not as exaggerated as Bao Bao, he also jumped 2 levels and upgraded to the 7th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Qin Wushuang did not use the 3 divine weapons of the 9th calamity of the Heavenly Supreme Tao stage. Instead, he stood with his hands behind his back and swayed left and right to dodge the flickering rod shadows. Bao Bao cried out, "Boss, are you not going to use a weapon?" Qin Wushuang chuckled. "Bao Bao, if I use a weapon, I am afraid you will not be able to block it." Bao Bao roared, "Boss, don't look down on me." As he waved the yin-yang stretching rod, shadows of the rod appeared from all directions. Transforming into waves of lights, they kept smashing at him. Qin Wushuang swung his 2 sleeves left and right, as if he had endless charm. When those lights and shadows smashed at him, they were swept away by the flowing lights of his sleeves. Surging in all directions, they kept shooting and bouncing off the walls. Then, they were swallowed by those defenses and could not form the slightest destructive power. Indeed, Bao Bao, who had entered a state of madness, was exceptional. Amidst his shouts, his attack power had increased greatly. Each time he smashed out the rod, it was as if a huge mountain was pressing down with endless power. Qin Wushuang laughed. "Good job, Bao Bao, your power has increased greatly." Bao Bao cried out, "Boss, if you don't use a weapon, don't get smashed flat by me." Qin Wushuang did not need a weapon to perform the great 5 attributes reincarnation seal. However, he only wanted to probe Bao Bao's skills and did not want him to lose face. Therefore, he did not use all his power. With a chuckle, he responded, "All right, I will use a weapon. Let's see if you can block it." He shook his arm and already grabbed the Earth Emperor's spear. The Earth Emperor's spear nodded like a phoenix. Ha! The tip of the spear directly tapped on Bao Bao's yin-yang stretching rod. With an ear-piercing collision sound, the surrounding space kept trembling. The might of the Heaven and Earth One rod was completely broken by this light spear. The following moves were completely blocked and could not be unleashed for a moment. Bao Bao was driven mad as he cried out strangely, "Boss, I'm going to use my ultimate move." With a shake of his entire body, his body kept growing bigger. When he grabbed the yin-yang stretching rod in his hand, it seemed like a thick airflow with a tangible form. Bao Bao walked up in large strides and pulled the yin-yang stretching rod into a semicircle with one hand. Then he flicked it fiercely. Instantly, that yin-yang stretching rod shot out and drew a perfect arc to crash towards Qin Wushuang. Regardless of speed or power, this collision had increased at least 3 times. Qin Wushuang praised, "Good guy, this move is not good." Without neglecting it, he also threw the Earth Emperor's spear forward. Instantly, the Earth Emperor's spear transformed into a burst of earthy yellow light. Like a yellow dragon congealed by the elements, it bared its fangs and brandished its claws, entangled with that yin-yang stretching rod. As the two divine weapons intertwined, in a moment, they dispersed abruptly. Bang! Hit by a burst of powerful airflow, that yin-yang stretching rod flew out directly and smashed against the wall. Suddenly, a burst of golden light disappeared and the rod stuck into the ground. Still, it trembled endlessly and emitted an ear-piercing, buzzing sound. Bao Bao turned pale with fright and could not speak for a moment. He gave a long sigh. "Boss, you are truly monstrous." Indeed, the seventh calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage is incomparable to my fifth calamity. Then his eyes lit up as he laughed. "Boss, you are already at the seventh calamity. If you're given a few more months, wouldn't you be able to stand above the peak like those paramount totem elite warriors?" Qin Wushuang said solemnly, "How can the ninth calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage count as standing above the peak?" "That's right, boss. You are the direct disciple of the Holy Emperor. In the future, you will move unhindered across the great Luo universe." Bao Bao swept away the dejection from the defeat and became excited again. "In the future, it will be exciting to travel the great Luo universe with you. Haha." The two of them did not linger and left the seventh loop. Through the transportation formation, in a moment, they returned to the mountain cave of the second loop at the Great Song Mountain. The 8-month exploration of the first 8 levels of the maze had come to an end. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 905. Looking at the situation at the scene, clearly it was much different than when he had left. Most of the sects were both happy and worried. When they saw the return of Qin Wushuang, people of the Qin clan also came to welcome him. When Qin Wushuang swept across the Qin party, he was slightly moved inwardly. Indeed, some of the supreme Tao elite warriors of the Qin clan were absent. For them to be absent at this moment, there was only one possibility. They had met with misfortune. Since Qin Yunran held the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate, he had not entered yet. Qin Chongyang and Qin Taichong, who held the intermediate soaring Galaxia commanding plate, had also returned successfully. Qin Chongyang was unscathed while Qin Taichong was slightly injured. On the contrary, one of the 4 people with the primary soaring Galaxia commanding plate was missing. Qin Wushuang gave a slight sigh. Could Ji Song have met with misfortune? Everyone revealed a sorrowful expression. Head chief, when Chief Ji Song went in, he was too rash and met with great misfortune. Qin Wushuang nodded. When we return, treat Ji Song's line well. Do not let them suffer. Everyone, don't be too discouraged. Since you have entered the God discarding door, everyone has their own destiny. Everyone nodded. Since they planned to explore the God discarding door, they already had the awareness of life and death. This time, 6 people from a Qin clan went in and 1 died. In fact, the failure rate was low. For some other sects, if they were unlucky, more than half of them had died. On the contrary, for those up-and-coming sects, such as the Floating Snow House and the Misty Sword sect, who had just ascended to the Heavenly Emperor 8 gates, they acted cautiously and had a low death rate. It was because these sects had a weak foundation and did not have much confidence. They did not dare to take risks and were cautious in all aspects. Although they did not gain much, they were able to come out smoothly. More or less, they had some gains. For the Qin clan, people who came out more or less also gained some gains. Upon seeing everyone's joyous appearance, Qin Wushuang knew that for this trip to the God discarding door, at least up to this point, these people were satisfied. If it weren't for Ji Song's death that made everything appear somewhat imperfect, certainly the entire Qin clan would be brimming with joy. After Qin Wushuang comforted them for a while, he walked towards Li Bai's tent. Now, he didn't have to deliberately avoid anything. After meeting the heavenly profound 7 disciples again, they were pleasantly surprised to find that Qin Wushuang's cultivation had increased by a lot. "Wushuang, you are already at the 7th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage." Haha, as expected of Master's successor. This speed is too heaven-defying. Everyone came up to make fun of him. Qin Wushuang responded with a smile, but asked, "Eldest senior brother, have you heard that the situation has changed?" Li Bai explained the matter of Queen Mother Golden Crow. Qin Wushuang nodded in realization. So the Golden Crow Queen Mother had left behind many Golden Crow bastards to carry on her ancestral line. No wonder I was wondering how she could come back to life. Although the problem that had been bothering them had been solved, Qin Wushuang did not dare to relax at all considering the terrifying strength of the Golden Crow. Li Bai explained seriously, "Wushuang, before you reach the peak of your strength, we plan to not let you show your face. The 7 of us can show ourselves when it's necessary. However, you are the greatest trump card of the Tianxian land. You must not be exposed until the most crucial moment." Qin Wushuang knew that the words of his eldest senior brother made sense as he nodded. "Eldest senior brother, don't worry, I will not show off deliberately. However, if the situation changes, it's not necessary for me to keep a low profile. To tell the truth, if we can inherit Master's legacy and fulfill his expectations, not to mention a little wind in Cloudland, even the entire great heavenly galaxy will bow down to us." This was not boasting. If Qin Wushuang could train to the same level as Li Xianfeng, most likely he could destroy a plane with one hand. What master god? In front of the Sage Emperor, he was nothing but trash. What could a heavenly warrior do? In front of the Tianwu Holy Emperor, he was still trash. Li Bai encouraged them with a smile. Therefore, I told them not to panic because of the appearance of Queen Mother Golden Crow. As long as we control the situation, although this Queen Mother Golden Crow is powerful, she will not be able to make any big waves. Now, the most crucial thing for us is to play each of our chess moves well. We must not lose our footing. Qin Wushuang agreed deeply. "Yes, eldest senior brother, I will leave the outside matters to you guys. For this trip, I will be gone for 4 months." Li Bai said, "All right, just like I said, don't be careless. In fact, this god discarding maze does have some foundation. Even if we go in, we would not dare to say we can run amok. For genuine supreme Dao elite warriors, we would not have 100% guarantee. You must be careful for everything. Senior brother, don't worry. I'll take advantage of this opportunity to take a look at just what kind of tragic situation the ancient War of Gods was. I will see if there are any clues to break the enemy." Li Bai laughed. "Teacher has already given you the clues to break the enemy. Honestly, this maze left behind by the immemorial gods was left for those powerhouses at the Tianxian land. Although you and I will gain something, it will not be much." Everyone nodded. Indeed, as Li Bai said, Li Xianfeng had already set up a grand scheme for them. There was no need for them to participate in the god-discarding maze. However, being the leader of the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang must have a stance. Additionally, he must think for the Qin clan and the entire Tianxian land rather than hoping for fortuitous opportunities at the god-discarding maze. The 7 deadly arrays formation was the precious legacy left behind by his teacher. However, the fortuitous opportunities set up were highly targeted and were the essence after the condensation. There were no large amounts of treasures to supply all those supreme Dao elite warriors at the Tianxian land. If the Tianxian land wanted to walk out of this difficult situation and become strong collectively, they must rely on this maze left behind by their ancestors, the ruins of the gods behind the god-discarding door. Outside the god-discarding door, the last group of advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates had all arrived. Li Bai still carried that light smile on his face. He looked around and laughed. Throughout history, the god-discarding door has never opened the last 4 maze to the public. 50 of you have the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plates. It's an opportunity, but also a challenge. I hope that when you go in with 50 people, when you come out, you will have 25 pairs. Not one less. That would be the most successful. Of course, such matter can only be a beautiful wish. I believe that you have not experienced the dangers of the god-discarding maze, but you have heard about it. Especially the last 4 mazes. the difficulty will be much greater than the previous ones. Each one will be more difficult than the previous one. For the first 8 mazes, the death rate is between 20 to 30%. For these last 4 mazes, if you are not careful, perhaps the death rate will exceed 50%. Therefore, I hope that you will keep a cool head at all times. Sometimes, perhaps your strength is enough. However, if you are too reckless, even if you are at the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage, you will encounter great trouble if you are unlucky. Additionally, you will not enter the 9th maze directly. For this God-discarding maze, you must start from the first maze and go deeper. In other words, to you, the first 8 mazes are meaningless. However, you must pass them successfully. If you fall in the first 8 mazes, it would be even more humiliating. Li Bai did not speak alarmist words to scare them. Instead, he tried to explain everything fairly. Everyone, regardless of whether you are ready or not, the journey is ready to begin. Come forward. The procedure was still the same. Li Bai opened the God-discarding door, and the gigantic round disc sent them directly into the ground. Next to Qin Wushuang, Qin Yunran, Bao Bao, and Lone followed. Among these 4, Lone and Qin Yunran were at the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Lone was slightly stronger as he was already at the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. He could enter the genuine Supreme Tao stage at any moment. Qin Yunran was still a step away from the peak of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Among these 50 people, he could only be considered below average. Among these 50 elite warriors, more than 30 of them were at the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Most of them came from the totem powerhouses of the 5 forbidden spiritual zones. A small portion of them were the strongest elite warriors of the non-totem powerhouses of the major forbidden spiritual zones. What Qin Wushuang didn't expect was that the Amei Daoist sect had 3 spots. One was the head chief female, Celestial Miao Feng. The other was female Celestial Miao Yun, who was at odds with Qin Wushuang. The remaining one was the mountain guardian divine beast of the Amei Daoist sect, the 9-change celestial tiger. A few dozen years ago, this demonic beast was only a divine beast at the 6th or 7th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Now he had risen with the tide and entered the first calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. He had successfully seized an advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Female Celestial Miao Feng, the head chief of the Amei Daoist sect, was one of the strongest people of the non-totem powerhouses of the Illusion Heavenly Lake. She also possessed the strength of the second calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. On the other hand, that female Celestial Miao Yun was only at the 6th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. She was even less powerful than Qin Yunran, not to mention among this group of elite warriors with the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate. Qin Wushuang took a general look. Among the 5 forbidden spiritual zones, there were close to 30 totem elite warriors. The other sects had occupied a little more than 20 spots. For a sect like the Amei Daoist sect that could occupy 3 spots, most likely only the Qin clan could compare to them. Among these 50 people, Qin Wushuang took a careful look. Only 12 of them were at the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. The rest were all at the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Of course, besides a few paramount totem elite warriors, Qin Wushuang was the only one above the 6th calamity of the genuine Supreme Tao stage. Fortunately, Qin Wushuang kept a low profile and did not reveal his skills. Plus, his divine soul was restrained. It would be difficult for outsiders to see through his depth. Therefore, the feeling that Qin Wushuang gave people was that of an ordinary elite warrior at the genuine Supreme Tao stage. There were only 12 elite warriors at the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. Basically, theoretically speaking, Transformation Supreme Tao elite warriors were almost cannon fodder. Certainly, the majority of the death rate would come from the Transformation Supreme Tao elite warriors. As for the elite warriors at the genuine Supreme Tao stage, Although each had their own luck, in the end, it still depended on their strength. Qin Wushuang did not belittle his own strength. Don't look at how powerful those paramount totem elite warriors were. Currently, Qin Wushuang was not the slightest bit afraid of them. Being at the 7th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage, plus his unique strength, the divine weapon at the 9th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage, and the puppet sword formation that kept improving himself, even if Qin Wushuang were to face a warrior at the peak of the genuine supreme Tao stage, he would not be the slightest bit afraid. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 906. Of course, Qin Wushuang did not come on this trip to argue with those paramount totem elite warriors. Although most of these totem elite warriors were not great in terms of outlook and breadth of mind, especially the Xianyuan clan, Qin Wushuang had always been annoyed by them. However, in the end, Qin Wushuang was a person that understood the general situation and knew when to advance and retreat. Naturally, he would not fall out with the Xianyuan clan under such circumstances. He knew that it would not benefit him to fall out with the Xianyuan clan at this moment. On the contrary, he would fall into ridicule for not understanding the general situation. After Qin Wushuang entered the maze, he sent his voice to instruct his friends, Yunran, Bao Bao, and Lone, listen up. You three, take care of each other and do not be alone. Wherever you go, you must stay close to each other. When you encounter people making things difficult for you, do not get too entangled with them. Staying alive is the most important thing. As for treasures and fortuitous opportunities, if it's an enemy you cannot beat and they want to snatch it, let them have it. We will get back at them later. Qin Yunran was a member of the Qin clan. Naturally, he would listen to the head chief's advice. He nodded to agree. Bao Bao and Lone were confused. Especially Bao Bao. He was in high and vigorous spirits. With his 5th calamity of the genuine supreme Tao stage, plus his crazy demonic fighting style, and the 6th calamity heaven and earth one rod, he had a 70 to 80% chance of winning against ordinary 6th calamity warriors. Only a few paramount totem elite warriors could make him suffer. What about the others? Why should he endure? This was not Bao Bao's style. Although Lone had yet to enter the genuine supreme Tao stage, the rebellious nature in his bones was much stronger than Bao Bao. He was also confident that although he had yet to enter the genuine supreme Tao stage, he was only one step away. With his talent as a mutated divine beast, plus the 6th calamity genuine supreme Tao weapon gifted by Boss, certainly it would not be a big problem for him to deal with 2nd or 3rd calamity genuine supreme Tao warriors. After all, Boss also taught him the divine skill of the great 5 attributes reincarnation seal. For the fire attribute, Lone had also trained to the 3rd profound stage and possessed astonishing divine skills. His combat power had also increased tremendously. Even for Qin Yunran, since he was the chief of the Qin clan, it was impossible for Qin Wushuang to not receive any benefits. To put it bluntly, it would be extremely difficult for those first tribulation true supreme Tao experts to gain an advantage from Qin Yunran. Thus, if the 3 of them were to form a team, Bao Bao and Lone would not be able to let go of this resentment. Qin Wushuang said straightforwardly, Bao Bao, Lone, I know you guys are not convinced. What I want to tell you is that this is my order. If you want to fight, wait for me to settle this matter. I'll support whoever you want to fight. However, you're not allowed to act rashly before I complete my task. Hearing Qin Wushuang's serious tone, Bao Bao and Lone knew that he was not joking. Bao Bao asked, Boss, what are you going to do? Qin Wushuang said, I want to keep an eye on 2 people. Which 2 people? Bao Bao had a general idea about the foreign spies. Thus, he was instantly interested. Qin Wushuang shook his head. You don't need to know. The more people know, the easier it is to alert the enemy. At that time, we will act separately. You 3 will form a group, and I will form a group alone. Those 2 are elite warriors at the genuine supreme Tao stage. It's not easy to keep an eye on them. Bao Bao said with a grinning face, Boss, I cannot beat you in a fight, but in terms of keeping an eye on them, you might not be better than me. Qin Wushuang laughed. You excel in small movements. This is your advantage. However, this time keeping an eye on them is not as simple as keeping an eye on their movements. You may make a move at any time. When it comes to making a move in the dark, it's up to me. Bao Bao stuck out his tongue, yet he was too embarrassed to boast shamelessly. For a sneak attack, Boss's graceful spiritual bow was unparalleled in the Tianxian land. Boss, I will listen to you. Yes, this god discarding maze is incredibly huge. I once entered the first Scattered Treasures Palace. Now that I think about it, I should have only entered a tiny corner. In a true maze, it's impossible to find the transportation formation to the next maze. Boss, you have been to the god discarding maze before? This time, Bao Bao was truly astonished. Qin Wushuang laughed. Yes, but like you guys, it's almost like I have never been here. I don't have any special advantages. The only advantage is that I can confirm it when I walk to the transportation formation. All right, time waits for no man. Let's act separately. This god discarding maze runs through the entire underground world. I don't know how vast it is. Remember, staying alive is the most important thing. After Qin Wushuang finished giving instructions, he left alone. Before departing, Qin Wushuang already communicated with Wang Chan. This time, Li Bai gave them 2 spots. One was an elite warrior at the Heavenly Supreme Dao stage from the Fish Dragon clan of the Endless Eastern Sea. The other was 9-change Celestial Tiger from the Illusion Heavenly Lake. Qin Wushuang and Wang Chan divided the work. For that elite warrior from the Fish Dragon clan, Qin Wushuang would be in charge of keeping an eye on him. For the 9-change Celestial Tiger from the Illusion Heavenly Lake, Wang Chan would keep an eye on him. With such a clear division of work, it would be easier to make a move. In fact, to Qin Wushuang, it would not be difficult to keep an eye on someone. With the observant finger jade plate, he could keep an eye on that elite warrior of the Fish Dragon clan at any time and place. Only, he felt incredibly curious. The strongest warrior of the Fish Dragon clan was a female. Her name was Yin Hong. Qin Wushuang found it hard to imagine that the Fish Dragon clan of the 18 dragon clans should be a clan with a righteous background. There should not be any problems with their background. Why would senior brother list her alone? Could it be that the Fish Dragon clan also had problems? However, since senior brother arranged it this way, he must have his reasons. In fact, Qin Wushuang trusted this frivolous senior brother greatly. Ever since he stepped onto the path of martial arts, it seemed that everything was within senior brother's expectations. Naturally, Qin Wushuang trusted him inexplicably. How could he know that this Yin Hong, who he was keeping an eye on, had already been watching him since the first time he went to the Endless Eastern Sea? At that time, Qin Wushuang went to ask for the Fish Dragon Iron Bone at the territory of the Fish Dragon clan and exposed his identity. Then, someone reported Qin Wushuang's whereabouts to the exceptional elite warrior of the Fish Dragon clan, Yin Hong. When Yin Hong heard the name of Qin Wushuang and the graceful spiritual bow, she went out to follow Qin Wushuang. Only, Qin Wushuang was kept in the dark. Only, at that time, when Yin Hong followed Qin Wushuang, she suffered a small loss in secret. It seemed that along the way, there was a hidden elite warrior that wanted to oppose her. Along the way, Yin Hong always encountered various strange problems. She did not know that the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. When she followed Qin Wushuang, she never thought that she was also being followed. At that time, that oriole was none other than Miao Su, the 7th of the heavenly mysterious 7 disciples. Besides Li Bai, only Miao Su could move around the Tianxian land. This Miao Su was under orders to investigate Yin Hong. It was because, according to Li Bai's understanding, a few thousand years ago when Golden Cicada was popular, this Yin Hong and Golden Cicada had a period of love and hate. This secret had always been a mystery. Li Bai did dig deeper and found some clues. He felt that this Yin Hong was greatly problematic. After he sent Miao Su to investigate, he confirmed some of Li Bai's guesses. Due to Yin Hong's special identity, Li Bai did not beat the grass to scare the snake. Instead, he let her enter the god discarding door and asked Qin Wushuang to keep an eye on her. Clearly, he was targeting her. Indeed, this Yin Hong was a maverick. As soon as she entered this god discarding maze, she disappeared like a ghost. If it were Qin Wushuang who had come to the endless eastern sea for the first time, it would have been impossible to follow Yin Hong. The difference in strength was too great. Currently, Qin Wushuang was at the 7th calamity of the genuine supreme Dao stage. Even if a paramount totem elite warrior were to meet him, they would not dare to say they would win. Although this Yin Hong was also an outstanding figure among the younger generation a few thousand years ago, in the end she did not reach the level of a paramount totem elite warrior. In the eyes of the current Qin Wushuang, a 5th calamity of the genuine supreme Dao stage was nothing. Bao Bao, who had the bloodline of the ancient spiritual monkey, was also at the 5th calamity of the genuine supreme Dao stage. When he exerted all his power, he was not even qualified to make Qin Wushuang use his weapon. Regardless of how much of a genius this Yin Hong was, compared to Bao Bao of the ancient spiritual monkey, there was still some difference. Therefore, Qin Wushuang appeared extremely natural when he followed this Yin Hong. He was not worried about exposing himself at all. Additionally, he had one advantage: he did not need to get too close. With the observant finger jade plate in hand, Qin Wushuang only needed to follow from afar and maintain a certain distance. This way, Yin Hong would not be suspicious. To these elite warriors who possessed the advanced soaring Galaxia commanding plate, the first 5 levels of the god discarding maze posed no pressure at all. After reaching the 6th level, those elite warriors at the Transformation Supreme Dao stage no longer had such an easy time. Lone and Qin Yunran were definitely at the top of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. They were on par with ordinary genuine Supreme Dao stage warriors and did not encounter any problems. Only, within these mazes, there were clearly some traces left by the previous 2 groups of people. Along the way, there were many messy scenes that were extremely shocking. The more the crowd walked, the more they understood why it would take a total of 4 months to explore this god discarding maze. It could be said that 4 months' time was rather tight. Starting from the 5th level of the maze, each level of the maze had an area of 100,000 miles. There were layers of mechanisms and traps at every step. To find the transportation formation to the next level of the maze, it would take some time. To an elite warrior with a powerful divine soul, like Qin Wushuang, the difficulty was clearly much lower. If he didn't need to keep an eye on Yin Hong, most likely Qin Wushuang would have already reached the 9th level of the maze. As for Yin Hong, she seemed to be lagging behind deliberately. When Bao Bao and the others had already reached the 7th level of the maze, Yin Hong was still wandering leisurely in the 5th level of the maze. Such abnormal behavior aroused even more suspicion from Qin Wushuang. Logically speaking, exploring the god-discarding maze was something that everyone would fight to be the first to do. Everyone knew that first impressions were the strongest. Good things waited for no one. If one was 1 step late, not to mention eating meat, they might not even get to drink soup. However, this Yin Hong was doing the opposite. Fortunately, Qin Wushuang did not look forward to this god discarding maze as fervently as the others. It could be said that he was the only exception. Only he, the owner of the 7 deadly arrays formation, could truly remain calm and composed in this god discarding maze. Third update, starting from 10 a.m. Tomorrow, the 5th chapter will be finished at 12 a.m. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 907. 7 days had passed, and Qin Wushuang was controlling the overall situation through the observant finger jade plate. He realized that among the 50 holders of the advanced Galaxia token, 48 of them had reached at least the 8th level of the maze. As for Yun Hong, she was still wandering in the 6th level of the maze. She was still moving at a leisurely pace. It was as though she was not here to explore the god-discarding maze, but to sightsee. By then, Qin Wushuang was almost certain that there was something fishy about Yun Hong. Qin Wushuang could not help but want to take action and turn Yun Hong into a puppet. However, considering that Yun Hong might have companions, it would not be good if he alerted her. After all, Yun Hong's power was different from the previous experts. She was a 5th calamity of the genuine Supreme Path expert. If his attack failed and she was alerted, he would be in big trouble. In the god-discarding maze, it was not as easy to kill a person as it was outside. No one could stretch their limbs and put in all their effort. After all, the god-discarding maze was not to be trifled with. There were many traps. If one accidentally triggered a prohibition, one would not only fail to kill, but also lose one's life. The only fortunate thing was that Yun Hong obviously did not realize that someone was following her. Along the way, she was not as cautious as before. Instead, she became bolder and was searching for something carefully. Qin Wushuang knew that in the 6th level of the maze, there would be some good stuff, such as Supreme Path weapons or Supreme Path armor, as well as some secret books of cultivation. If one were to search seriously, they would definitely gain something. However, Yun Hong, with her cultivation of 5th calamity of the genuine Supreme Path, was so careful. It was definitely not as simple as looking for those things. Supreme Path weapons and Supreme Path armor were insignificant in front of a 5th calamity of the genuine Supreme Path expert. Unless it was a genuine divine weapon, it would be difficult for a genuine Supreme Path expert to even blink. Starting from the 6th level of the maze, there were many battle sites of the Archean deity era along the way. There were bones and blood all along the way, but it was completely restored to its original appearance. There was no change even after tens of thousands of years. No one knew how the god-discarding maze was maintained. It was as though tens of thousands of years had not passed. However, apart from the skeletons and corpses, there were no weapons or equipment at all. Obviously, in such a place that could be seen everywhere, even if there were weapons and equipment, with so many adventurers in the past, it was obviously impossible for them to remain until now. Up until now, the chances of him picking up scraps were minuscule. Now, there were only 2 ways to pick up good items in the god's discarding maze. One way was to go to a place that had never been opened before. The other way was to focus all their attention on the search. Qin Wushuang did not get distracted along the way. As he observed the god-discarding labyrinth, he paid attention to Yun Hong's every move. The god-discarding maze was indeed more dangerous than the previous one. Although there were many places along the way that had been explored by countless predecessors, there were still many unexpected disturbances along the way. There were random mechanisms and restrictions, as well as monsters that were hidden in the dark. Of course, it was impossible to pose a threat to Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang's patience with Yun Hong was getting lower and lower. Yun Hong could actually keep her composure. 10 days had passed, and she had only arrived at the 7th maze. The 7th maze was called the Extreme Desert. What entered one's eyes was endless yellow sand. Qin Wushuang had to spend some extra effort to conceal himself. Fortunately, Yun Hong did not plan to dawdle in the 7th maze. Instead, she found the teleportation formation and entered the 8th maze. At the 8th maze, the danger level was enough to threaten any transformation Supreme Dao expert. Even a genuine Supreme Dao expert would not dare to lower his guard when he arrived at the 8th maze. As soon as Qin Wushuang entered the 8th maze, Wang Chan transmitted his consciousness over. "Little friend Wushuang, how's the situation on your side?" "Chief Wang Chan, Yun Hong is very cunning. She is still wandering in the 8th maze. How's the situation on your side? That 9-change celestial tiger is also cunning, right?" "Humph, indeed this guy has a guilty conscience." In the 9th maze, there are many strange stone sculptures and many seals. "You must be careful. Don't let anyone break those seals. Although I don't understand these seals, most likely they are used to suppress the immemorial foreign clan monstrous talent. Wang Chan had given him a kind reminder. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt somewhat grateful as he responded, Chief Wang Chan, how do you plan to deal with that 9-change celestial tiger? I haven't made a move yet. When he shows his foxtail, I will kill him with thunderous methods. I will not beat the grass to scare the snake and make it look like he is gathered by the defenses of this maze. This way, we can also fool people. Qin Wushuang agreed deeply. Good, this is a good idea. It's worth learning from. Chief Wang Chan, brotherly Bai, asked us to keep an eye on these two guys. Most likely, there will be other survivors. We have no choice but to be 120% alert. Aha, that's right. Wushuang, if it doesn't work, you can take down that Yin Hong directly or kill her. For this god-discarding maze, you cannot keep lagging behind. Let me tell you, the 9th maze has never been opened before. There are many good things. Now, many people are already going crazy. Qin Wushuang laughed. All right, let them search for a while. I believe it will not be easy to find good things. Now, the things that are out are just some common goods. They are not worth much. Wang Chan smiled, but did not say anything more. He knew that this young man had his own ideas. Perhaps, he truly did not wish for the goods of the 9th maze. Wang Chan knew about the inheritor of the immemorial formation. Most likely, the treasures Qin Wushuang carried would not lose to the totem powerhouses. Although the goods of the 9th maze were good, how could they enter his eyes? Besides, the treasures that had appeared now were just some decent ones. Perhaps elite warriors at the Coagulate and Transformation Supreme Dao stage would be moved. To genuine Supreme Dao elite warriors, they were of little value. Before the good things appeared, it was impossible for everyone to lose their composure. That Yin Hong dawdled at the 8th maze for another 2 days. It was as if she was deliberately waiting for the people of the 9th maze to retreat before she entered. Only, since she had entered the 9th maze, perhaps it would be difficult for many martial artists to advance further. Clearly, it was impossible for one to stay in the 9th maze and do whatever they wanted. This Yin Hong was rather smart. After waiting for 3 days, she finally entered the 9th maze. The 9th maze was called the Celestial Phase Maze. Inside this maze, the most distinctive feature was the large amount of stones. There were all kinds of strange stones, and they were arranged in different postures that would make one ponder over them. Clearly, these stones were not ordinary materials. Their hardness was on par with Supreme Dao weapons at the 7th or 8th calamity of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. Inside the Celestial Phase Maze, after 3 days of elimination, 4 elite warriors had lost their lives one after another. There were also 3 or 4 cases of people fighting over goods. Of course, it was the same as the outside world where the strong preyed on the weak. In the end, the ones who benefited would certainly be those elite warriors. Bao Bao and the others remembered Qin Wushuang's instructions. They would never participate in any disputes. Unless it was something right before their eyes, they would never participate. Such awareness had saved them a lot of trouble. To such honest people who did not stir up trouble, no one would be bored enough to provoke them. After all, everyone had come to this place to search for treasures and fortuitous opportunities. They were not here to cause trouble. If they did not provoke you, there was no need to find trouble with each other. Harmony breeds wealth. When Yin Hong came up, the people who had stayed in the 9th maze had either decided not to explore anymore, or they were already injured and could no longer move forward. The few people who were still lingering around were those who were not satisfied with the gains from the 9th maze and wanted to stay to find more treasures. In total, there were about 10 of them. Compared to the quota of 50 people, this number was clearly small. Of course, it was impossible for the elite warriors to stay in the 9th maze. As soon as Yin Hong came up, she changed her attitude. After wandering around for half a day, she began to persuade the people who stayed here that she had found a hidden place with a prohibition. She needed a lot of people to work together in order to break the prohibition. Qin Wushuang observed with cold eyes. After he was certain that this Yun Hong did not have any accomplices in this first maze, he already had some ideas. For the time being, he did not expose her and pretended to be a martial artist who had stayed in this ninth maze. He deliberately swayed before Yun Hong. Initially, he thought that since this Yun Hong was bewitching people everywhere, surely she would also bewitch Qin Wushuang when she saw him. Unexpectedly, this Yun Hong was slightly surprised when she saw him. Then, she restored her calm expression and called out, "Qin Wushuang, the owner of the graceful spiritual bow." Qin Wushuang pretended to hesitate. Elite warrior of the endless Eastern Sea Fish Dragon clan, Yun Hong revealed a light smile and pretended to exaggerate. "Yes, young Master Qin has been in the limelight in these years. At the endless Eastern Sea, your name is also well known like thunder. Ha ha, I have made a fool of myself in front of everyone." Yun Hong nodded and asked curiously, "How did you get from this trip?" Qin Wushuang shrugged. "I haven't gotten anything yet. I'm not interested in small fish and shrimps. Let them fight for it. I am rather interested in the history of how the immemorial gods fought against the foreign tribes. What do you think, Taoist Yin?" Yun Hong squeezed out a smile, and it was clear that she was being perfunctory. Indeed, the immemorial gods era was grand and tragic. After seeing this god discarding maze, I realized that it was not easy for the immemorial seniors. While these two were joking around, they each had their own thoughts. Qin Wushuang wanted to test this Yun Hong. Clearly, this Yun Hong was on guard against Qin Wushuang. Upon seeing this Yun Hong showing a distant attitude, Qin Wushuang could not help but feel somewhat strange. Could it be that he had been seen through by this Yun Hong? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chijian.com. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 908. After thinking about it, Qin Wushuang felt that this possibility was unlikely. From the beginning, he had never approached this Yun Hong. It was impossible for her to have such powerful vigilance. Qin Wushuang would never have thought that when Yun Hong followed him at the endless Eastern Sea, she was stopped by Miao Su in secret. It had always been a cloud of suspicion in her heart. Therefore, when she saw Qin Wushuang, Yun Hong was somewhat subconsciously on guard. Qin Wushuang did not know the inside story. When he showed up abruptly, it caused a trace of suspicion to emerge in Yun Hong's heart. Qin Wushuang was a smart person. When he saw Yun Hong's reaction, inwardly he felt that something was wrong. However, when he thought carefully, he did not know what was wrong. The only thing he was sure of was that this Yun Hong was already on guard against him. Qin Wushuang was not an indecisive person. Since he knew that something had gone wrong, of course he could not continue to waste time. Although he did not know where the problem was, if he allowed this Yun Hong to cause trouble, most likely it would not end well. Making a prompt decision, Qin Wushuang decided to control this Yun Hong first. After making up his mind, Qin Wushuang no longer hesitated. His figure floated, and soon he locked onto Yun Hong's position according to the instructions from the observant finger jade plate. Yun Hong was also whispering. The fear inside her heart was even more anxious than Qin Wushuang. A dozen years ago, that Qin Wushuang was able to defeat Xian Tianwen. With his powerful strength, how could he stay here? With his usual style, he should be the vanguard. Since he stayed here, he deliberately appeared before me. Could it be that he already knows my identity? Impossible. How old is Qin Wushuang? How much could he know about the immemorial era? My identity is so well hidden. Even that controller of the god discarding door did not discover it. Qin Wushuang could not have discovered it. If he did, why didn't he expose me directly? It must be a coincidence. It must be. Yun Hong comforted herself in this way. But after thinking about it, she felt that this kind of self-comfort did not seem to make sense. If it was just a coincidence, why would Qin Wushuang deliberately appear in front of her? Logically speaking, in the god discarding maze, experts should try their best to avoid each other. The more Yun Hong thought about it, the more she felt that something was wrong. Yun Hong Ur's soul trembled when she suddenly thought of the divine beast Saberbeard. Saberbeard, divine beast. Saberbeard had almost died in the hands of Qin Wushuang. This Qin Wushuang was also valued by the controller Li Bai. Could it be? Yinhong Er's heart began to beat violently. At this moment, a look of horror flashed across Yinhong Er's eyes. She realized that there were 9 figures in front of her. However, these 9 figures were all unfamiliar to him. Yinhong had done a thorough investigation of the 50 top powers who had entered the god discarding door. However, the 9 of them had unfamiliar faces. Who are you people? Yinhong stood up, and a faint murderous intention flashed across her eyes. Clearly, Yinhong Er's alertness had reached the peak instantly. We are the ones who won your life. These 9 people did not speak any nonsense. With a flash, the 9 figures formed a formation. Immediately, the powerful sword formation surged with endless violent supreme Dao airflow and formed a giant whirlpool in the center. 9 bursts of sword lights bombarded from 9 different directions. Yinhong was in the core area. When she saw the 9 bursting sword lights, she was not careless at all. She activated the fish dragon scale armor on her entire body, and a ball of air immediately surged from her body to block the 9 bursts of sword lights. Yinhong transformed into the shape of a dragon. She rose into the air and rushed upward. She was also incredibly calm. When she saw the extraordinary sword formation, she immediately knew that these 9 people would not be easy to deal with. Although the individual strength of these 9 people was not worth mentioning in her eyes, the formation of the sword formation gave her a show of strength. However, the profoundness of the sword formation was definitely not something that Yinhong could imagine. Just as she rushed upwards, the flying swords in the hands of the 9 puppets attacked at the same time. They transformed into illusory sword shadows of superpowers. After they rushed into the sky, they formed a rain of swords that covered the sky and the earth. It was like an inescapable net that covered everything. Yinhong rushed into the sky and was suppressed by the rain of swords. She could not even muster up her aura. The powerful murderous power was at least 10 times stronger than she had imagined. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Yinhong saw that their individual cultivation was only at the transformation Supreme Dao Realm. How many superpowers could 9 transformation Supreme Dao Realm experts have? Even if Yinhong could not defeat them in one blow, it would not be a problem for her to fight against 9 of them. However, when the sword formation was formed, it was supposed to be a single attack from each person. With a slight change, it could form a power that was 100 times stronger. How would she know that the profoundness of a 9 palace return to one sword formation lay in its amplification ability? The strength of each person who set up the formation could be amplified up to 81 times through the formation. With 9 people added together, the power would be 700 to 800 times stronger. Of course, this was only the strongest power in theory. In practice, it was impossible to unleash the strongest power every time. However, even if the power was reduced by 300 to 400 times, it would be enough to make Yinhong a sufferer. She could deal with 10 or even 100 cultivators of this level without much pressure at all. However, if the power was increased by 100 times, it would not be easy for Yinhong to deal with it. Countless sword lights seemed to have a tracking function as they followed Yinhong in the sky. No matter how hard Yinhong tried, she could not get rid of them completely. Yinhong was anxious and she growled, "You guys, where did you come from? I have not offended you, have I? I did not have any fortuitous encounters. Why are you so fixated on me?" In such a critical situation, Yinhong did not realize that the people who were making things difficult for her were not the 9 people at all. The 9 people were not even humans, but great golem puppets. It was just that the imitation was very similar, and Yinhong could not see any flaws in it at first. Yinhong felt that she was really wronged. He had been targeted out of the blue, and now he had made a move for no reason. She did not even have the strength to fight back. The cultivation of the fifth calamity of the genuine supreme path could not even unleash 60% of her strength. She knew that in such a situation, the more deadlocked it was, the more unfavorable the situation would be. Yinhong gritted her teeth and thought, I have no choice but to use the life-saving item. Otherwise, if I'm entangled with these guys, what if there are more powerful enemies eyeing me from behind? Wouldn't I be making a mistake? Just as she was about to unleash her ultimate move, she heard a scolding. Who are you? How dare you fight in the god-discarding maze? Who are you? Are you spies from the foreign tribes? When Yinhong heard this voice, she was pleasantly surprised. She was surprised that the person who came was Qin Wushuang, the person she disliked the most. She was happy that Qin Wushuang scolded her opponents, which were the 9 monsters. What did this mean? It meant that Qin Wushuang did not suspect her at all. Yinhong was like a drowning person who saw a life-saving straw. She waved and said, Little brother Qin, little friend Wushuang, please help me. These 9 guys came from unknown places. I highly suspect that they are spies from the foreign tribes. Otherwise, how did they come in? They are not among the 50 people who have the advanced soaring Galaxia token. Qin Wushuang agreed. Yes, they must be spies. Fellow Taoist Yin, make some preparations. We will work together to break this sword formation. What do you think? Yinhong said, all right. Qin Wushuang shouted. He led the Heavenly King's sword from afar and swept over. He slashed 9 times in a row and attacked the 9 people respectively. Yinhong saw the opportunity and said happily, Good, little friend Wushuang, well done. Qin Wushuang waved the Heavenly King's sword and shouted, Fellow Taoist Yin, let's meet quickly. Don't fight. Yinhong responded and thought inwardly, Qin Wushuang, since you like to show off, I will throw this hot potato to you and let you stay here to have fun with them. Yinhong agreed and approached Qin Wushuang. However, she had another plan in mind. As soon as she got close to Qin Wushuang, she would immediately step on Qin Wushuang's shoulder and leave. She would use this momentum to let Qin Wushuang block the main attack. She also called out, Little friend Wushuang, good sword skill. I am coming. Yinhong rushed to high speed. Qin Wushuang held the Heavenly King's sword and attacked crazily from the outside, as if he wanted to make a gap with all his strength. The 9 golem puppets were naturally very cooperative, allowing Qin Wushuang to make a passage smoothly. When Yinhong saw the passage appear, she was overjoyed. She swayed her body and rushed out directly. When Qin Wushuang saw Yinhong's performance, a happy smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. As expected, Yinhong was very cunning. She let him block the main attack and took the opportunity to escape. If Qin Wushuang was really a hero who came to help, he would suffer a great loss from Yinhong. However, Qin Wushuang was obviously not here to help. He was here to scheme against Yinhong. When he saw Yinhong running away, she gave her entire back to him. Why would he be polite? He pointed at her glabella, and the divine venomous puppet directly slapped over. Yinhong did not have time to react. She only felt a chill at the back of her head. Her heart trembled, and an uneasy thought flashed through her mind. Then, Yinhong's consciousness became blurry. Qin Wushuang laughed. He made a hand gesture and kept the 9 golem puppets. He grabbed Yinhong's body and fled directly to a hidden place. Although the killing here was earth-shattering in the 9th heaven, this level of killing would not alarm anyone at all. Even if it did, there would not be many people who would meddle in other people's business. In this labyrinth, no one was here to be a hero fighting for justice. It was better to have one less problem than one more problem. Why should he worry about others who were fighting for their lives? Yinhong was controlled by Qin Wushuang. Not long after, she slowly woke up. Qin Wushuang knew that Yinhong was an elite of the heavenly supreme path. All the divine venomous poison was very heavy. Yinhong was dizzy. When she saw Qin Wushuang, she called out respectfully, Master. Qin Wushuang waved his hand. Yinhong cut the crap. Let me ask you, are you a spy of the mutated tribe? If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. Calm. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.